Showtime.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get started here. Okay. Ready? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with that. I'll answer something. The meeting will come to order. For public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of this meeting room on the east wall, back in the back, if anyone needs to read that. We'll have roll call.
Harris,
Here,
Knapper,
Here.
Meyer,
he's here, he said he'd be right back here.
Reisig,
Here.
Blue.
Here.
Okay, we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I want to remind all that this meeting is being recorded. It will be broadcast at a later date. It's not being broadcast live. I want to remind everyone that if you want to speak this evening, we are going to ask that you come forward to the microphone here at the podium. Talk clearly into the microphone. You have to get fairly close to it so that people that are listening to the recording later can hear what you have to say. The other thing that we'll have you do is state your name and spell your name for the clerk so that she can get her minutes posted correctly. Remember that there's no swearing and there's no other inappropriate language. Trust we won't have any of that tonight. Be sure we all check our cell phones, try and have them shut off or on silent. Want to remind also the commissioners to speak directly into their microphones so that people here can hear through the speaker system and for the recorded broadcast. This evening, I suspect with the length of the agenda, we will probably take a break about halfway through. I'll determine when that will be. And normally we take about an 8-minute break midway. All right, I think that's it for the announcements. First item on the agenda here is to approve the agenda and consider any modifications. Kelly, do you have one?
I do.
Okay,
So on the general agenda items, third item, discuss and consider action regarding the request of proposal for inmate communication services. I would like to remove that for a later date.
okay. So that item would be removed. Any other changes on the agenda? All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. He'll be back for the next one.
Okay, I have 4 yeses and 1 absent.
All right, so the motion's carried. The next item is we want to remind everyone that the board reserves the right to enter into a closed session if deemed necessary. We do have an executive session item at the end of the agenda tonight, but this also goes to clarify that if any point in time along the agenda items, we feel we need to go into an executive session otherwise, and we help or have our attorney help us determine those things, then this is just letting everyone know that that could happen. The next item is the consent agenda. These items are intended for adoption by one motion unless any commissioner would like to consider one of them separately. Is there any discussion or anything that needs to be considered separate tonight?
I'd move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as is.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses?
All right, so the motion's carried. So the next item is building and zoning items. We have 2 of them that are on our list tonight. The first one is a public hearing to discuss and consider approval of the William Vaughn Ag Estate dwelling site request located in section 15, township 22 north, range 56 west. Mr. Maben, you want to start?
Yeah, so Mr. Vaughn, he's wishing to separate off 7 acres. I sent that out to you on the packets. It's also up here on the screen. He has this little marginal use area. It doesn't fall within the pivot, so he just wanted to section that out for a possibility of a home site in the future. He does have access off of the highway right here. It's already in place. And the county commission did recommend approval by a 6-0 vote on that. It meets all the compliance of the regulations.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, so we certainly want to give anyone the opportunity to speak on this item. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak on this item? And if so, we would hear it now, sir.
I am William Vaughn, Vaughan, Bill. And this is a farm that I bought in 2018. And I'm just considering selling the farm, and my wife made the point that that's a real pretty spot if somebody wanted to build a house on the oil, on the highway. Easy access into town and wherever they need to go. And so I thought it was a good idea, so I went forward with that notion.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
So you're in favor of it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other discussion? Comments? All right. Hearing none other, we'll close the public hearing. Go to comments from commissioners.
I would move for approval.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions for Bill. Do you have a timeline for building
No, I don't plan to build on it myself. I just,
and to sell?
I'm thinking of selling the whole farm.
Okay.
And I just thought that maybe somebody, if I don't sell it separately, if the farm doesn't sell right away, perhaps I could sell this separately, give somebody the opportunity to have a nice spot. Or if somebody buys the whole thing in its entirety, give them the option. But I have no intention of building.
Have you talked to the assessor about the tax implication?
No, I haven't.
So it'll be zone residential if we make this? No.
It's zoned agricultural. It's the ag estate. So it's like an exception. You get a split a house off of basically a farm. So it will not, the zoning does not change. Now, their code might, for what they're calling it. They're probably gonna call the envelope around a house eventually. But I think right now they'll just, assess it for what it's being used at.
It's completely unimproved, except for the driveway. And my intention is that should I sell it separately, I will include a perpetual or permanent easement from the driveway I put it in, because where Mr. Maven showed, it's going, that the access is on the east side along the property line to access and connect with the pivot section. And hopefully this will give the new owner, should they buy that 7 acres, access without any encumbrances. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't, Charlie, anything
Yeah,
else?
you're not asking for another entrance off of 92 or anything? Okay. Looks like you have plenty of room if you'd have to anyways.
Any other comments? I would only say that, planning commission did approve it 6-0. Or voted in favor of it, correct?
Yes,
The planning commission, yeah,
I've never
Okay.
actually seen one of these turned down before.
yeah. And again, this is, somewhat that same issue of almost like a pivot corner. This isn't in the corner, but it's similar to that. I will note that we did have one of the neighbors that, was not in favor of a house being built there, and I think we should mention that, but, anyway, the planning commission did vote for it. Any other discussion up here? If not, let's go ahead and vote. So we have a motion, right? And a second to approve it.
Yes.
Okay?
You have 5 yeses.
All right, the motion's carried. Thanks. All right, we'll go on to the next item under building and zoning, which is a public hearing to discuss and consider approval of Dennis Applegate zoning change request, agricultural to recreation commercial, located in section 5, township 22 north, range 53 west. This is gonna be a public hearing that we're gonna open shortly, but let's let Mr. Maben give his presentation first, and then we'll open it up.
So I'm sure y'all had a chance to see where it's located. Here it's just south off of Lake Minnetonka. If you go off of Stonegate Road, it's approximately 3/4 of a mile back to the east. They were just requesting to do, looking for retail goods, kind of the same thing as what's going on the north side of the lake, just have a little shop out there to serve the lake. And I think there was a possibility of maybe doing some RV storage and boat storage in the future. So we kind of included that in here. I'll just get right here. Here's where in the county regulations, the recreational commercial district. Here's the principal uses. It's got the retail stores and services plus the boat and recreational vehicle. Figured with the proximity to the lake they had there, this was probably the best way to go with this zoning here. This is the comprehensive plan. Here's where it makes mention of the commercial development, basically referring it to establishment that coincide with historical or recreational sites. That's where we're using out of the comprehensive plan. Here's what it looks like. Just, I think it's a 25 by 25 or something in that neighborhood, little store here. What's up against this shop here? I think that was their personal shop. And here's the envelope that we kind of agreed to. I did include another one here in case they wanted to encompass this building, but there's basically what it looks like if you were gonna have a top view of it. I think this was the area where they're looking at maybe doing the RV and boat parking. This was gonna be an area where they'd sell the bait out over here. So, and then of course, parking and all that. The septic system is located down here along this, so, they would have a little bit more space too in the future if they have to replace and do a second one. So that's all I have for you right now.
Okay. And tell us about the planning commission.
Sorry, they did hear testimony and hear evidence on this, and they ended up in a 3-3 tie, which just basically means there's no recommendation. So there's 3 for, 3 against.
Okay. So no official recommendation from the
Right.
planning
At that
commission.
point, it's just no recommendation.
Okay. All right, so again, we'll say that this is a public hearing, and I would open the floor to anyone that wants to speak. Yeah, Mr. Applegate, maybe? Yeah, come on up. Thank you. Thank you.
And copy, you still
I
need
got
to
your
say it
pictures all on.
for the
one of these.
recording as well.
Yeah, you go ahead, again, remember your name and spell your name for Ms. Kelly.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Dennis Applegate, D-E-N-N-I-S, Applegate, A-P-P-L-E-G-A-T-E. First, I want to thank you for taking the time to hear me from us tonight and for the work that you guys do on behalf of the county. I'm here with my wife Lindsay and our family and friends to speak in support of proposing the project Off the Water, a small community-centered convenience store and a little bait shop we hope to open just outside of Minutair. At this time, I'd like to introduce Lindsay, L-Y-N-S-E-Y, who will share more about our vision, the work we've already done, and why we believe this zoning change will benefit not just our family, but the entire community.
Hi. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak with you today. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous to do this. My name is Lindsay, and I'm here speaking with you on behalf of Dennis Applegate, our family, and our property located just outside the city limits of Minutair. We are respectfully requesting a zoning change for approximately 1 acre of our 62-acre property, which is only a half-mile off pavement, so that we may open a small community-focused business, a convenience store and bait shop that we've named Off the Water. We come before you today not just as applicants, but as committed residents, business owners, and parents who care deeply about this community. Let me begin by introducing ourselves. I'm Lindsay, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. Dennis has proudly worked for BNSF Railroad for nearly 20 years. Together, we also operate a small local business, Stonegate Seamless Roofing, which serves the community across our region. We're raising 2 wonderful children, Easton, who is 14, and River, who is 2. Like many families in rural Nebraska, we work hard, live with integrity, and hold firm to values of honesty, responsibility, and service. These values are at the heart of everything we do, including our desire to bring Off the Water to life. We have not asked for any financial help or public assistance to build our store. In fact, we have already invested over $100,000 out of our own pocket into this project. While doing so, we've been able to provide jobs to members of the community as we construct the store, creating opportunity before the doors have even opened. What we are proposing is not a large-scale development. It is a modest, family-run convenience store and bait shop, the kind of place that brings neighbors together, provides needed goods, and supports local producers. It's something our area is currently lacking. Right now, there are very limited options within a 15-mile radius that offer basic goods and services, a place to pick up a snack, grab a bag of ice, buy bait, or support local farmers selling fresh produce and honey. Residents are left to make the long drive for everyday necessities, and visitors to Lake Minutair have few options for supplies nearby. Our store, Off the Water, is designed to fill that gap. We understand that there is currently a bait store on the north side of Lake Minutair. We fully respect that business and acknowledge the services they provide. However, we strongly believe that competition is good for the economy. Healthy competition encourages better service, fair pricing, and increased choices for consumers, ultimately benefiting the entire community and all local businesses. We are not seeking to replace or undermine anyone. We simply want to contribute to the area's growth and vibrancy by offering another convenient option. We envision a clean, simple, and welcoming space that offers everyday convenience items for local residents, bait and outdoor supplies for anglers and campers, locally grown produce and honey from area farmers and beekeepers. This isn't just a business plan. This is a way to invest in the local economy, support our neighbors, and serve our community. We want to create a place where locals and tourists alike can stop in, feel welcome, and leave with what they need, maybe something homegrown too. Some may wonder if this constitutes spot zoning. We want to address that directly. This is not spot zoning. Spot zoning benefits a single landowner without regard for the broader community. What we are proposing is something very different. This store will provide tangible, long-term benefits to the entire region. Access to goods and supplies, a platform for local agriculture producers to sell their goods, a reliable stop for Lake Minnetonka visitors, which enhances tourism, modest increases in local traffic that may encourage improved road maintenance by the county, benefiting all area residents, an increase in property taxes for ourselves as a result of the zone change, which in turn contributes more tax dollars to the county, resources that can be used to support roads, law enforcement, and public safety initiatives. And importantly, our project is in alignment with Scotts Bluff County Comprehensive Plan, as well as the Regional Economic Development Plan, both of which emphasize supporting rural enterprise, local agriculture, and tourism infrastructure. Our proposal supports these strategic goals by bringing small business growth, consumer access, and local sustainability to a currently underserved area. We are not building something that serves only us. We are building something that serves Scotts Bluff County, especially the rural community that has long gone without these resources. And speaking of tourism, we believe Off the Water can play an important role in supporting the growing popularity of Lake Minnetonka. Each season, the lake attracts campers, boaters, fishermen, and families from all over the region. Yet once they arrive, they quickly find that they are extremely limited in options for nearby stores to help them stock up on essentials. Off the Water could solve that problem. It would provide bait, life jackets, drinks, snacks, firewood, charcoal, sunscreen, and more, right where it's needed. This helps encourage repeat visits, longer stays, and more positive experiences for visitors to our county. This business will also support the infrastructure around it. As traffic gradually increases around the store, so will visibility to the condition of local roads. We believe that this will encourage greater attention from the county for maintenance and upkeep, benefiting everyone who lives and travels in the area. As a family, we are committed to keeping the store true to the rural character of the land. It will be small, clean, and thoughtfully designed. We are not seeking to disrupt, we are looking to enhance what already exists. And we are prepared to work closely with the county to ensure that all requirements and expectations are met. We want to be open and respectful about our future intentions. While we have not yet applied for a beer and liquor license, we do plan to pursue one only after the zoning is approved. Any alcohol sales would be for off-site consumption only with limited business hours. We have no plans to operate late or disrupt the peace of the area. Our priority is to serve the community responsibly. That said, today's meeting is specifically about the zoning change, and we kindly ask that we keep the focus there. We'll gladly address questions about the license when that application is submitted. We've also heard concerns about speeding on nearby roads. We want to acknowledge that this is an issue. While we cannot enforce traffic laws ourselves, we do hope that with an increase in visibility and traffic from this store, that there will be stronger initiatives for local authorities to enforce speed limits and ensure that the area remains safe for everyone. To us, Off the Water represents more than just a store. It represents opportunity. The opportunity for local producers to connect with consumers, visitors to enjoy their time at the lake, and residents to gain access to essential goods. Finally, it gives us the opportunity to revitalize our area in a way that is respectful, grounded, and sustainable. Commissioners, we are a hardworking local family trying to do something good and meaningful in our corner of Scotts Bluff County. We believe deeply in the future of this land, this community, and this county. We respectfully ask for your support in approving this zone change so we can take the next step in building something that benefits more than just us. It benefits the place that we are proud to call home. Thank you again for your time and consideration and for the work you do on behalf of our county. We'd be honored to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I think we'll let others speak first, and then we may come back to you with questions when it comes to the commissioner time to speak.
Not
Okay.
a problem at all.
All right,
Thank you
thanks
so much for your time.
Come on up. Yep.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Easton, and I'm 14 years old. Easton. I'm here tonight to speak from the heart in support of my dad and our family's dream, opening our convenience store and bait shop Off the Water. This isn't just my dad's project. It's something we've all worked on together. I've helped with everything I could, from constructing the walls to stocking shelves and learning what it takes to run a business. Even though I'm only 14, I put a lot of hours and effort because I believe in what we're building. Off the Water isn't just a store, it's a chance for our family to give back to the community. We want to create a place that's helpful, welcoming, and part of the neighborhood. That's why I support the zoning change. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak, and thank you for considering our request.
All right, thank you. Any others? I'm assuming we have several here tonight if you want to speak. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Forrest Hickman, Forrest Hickman. I'm a veteran. I'm a boat owner. I take my boat multiple places across, western Nebraska. I do business. I'm a businessman here that does business throughout western Nebraska. I've known Dennis on a professional and a personal level for quite a few many years. We've ran a few trains together. And I've also been in law enforcement for over 20 years. I know the same thoughts that I would imagine that you guys have are the same thoughts and questions that I would have, with it being a half mile off on a dirt road. Traffic's going to be an issue, how it's going to tear up the roads more with the boat and the traffic. And I guess my thoughts on it are this, that if it's a small town store that is not getting much attention, then it's not going to damage the road very much. If it's a popular store, then the county is going to see that additional revenue coming in from that store itself in order to put it on the 5 or 10 year plan or the 1 or 5 year plan in order to do the improvements to the road to accommodate the traffic, due to popularity. It also will actually reduce traffic coming back into town. One of the things, like when I go to Box View, which I know it's a different community, different avenue that we're going, but there's no place locally to get anything. So if you forget something out at the lake, you're making the 10-mile trek back into town on the same roads to get what you forgot and then trek right back out. If you have something within 1.5 miles or 2 miles, then they're just going that 1.5 miles and that 2 miles in order to make those treks. So you're going to see less traffic on the main roads going back and forth, because anybody that has gone camping, anyone that has gone boating, anyone that has done any type of an activity outside has forgotten something. That's just the nature of the beast. If you do those types of activities, you're going to run out of things, on occasion. So having this opportunity and knowing Dennis as long as I have, he has always operated with a lot of honor and integrity and respect. To where I would be fully in support of allowing this zoning change so this place could have an opportunity. I wish someone around Hemingford, when I go to Box Butte, would do something like this again, so we had a small store like this again. But I think safety-wise, road-wise, like I said, less vehicles going back and forth to the lake because they've forgotten stuff. Once they're out there, they're out there. I'm just not necessarily seeing a huge downside to this, and I've tried to think about it as a businessman's perspective, as a law enforcement's perspective, on what the absolute downside would be to it. And just knowing how Dennis and Lindsay are and how they operate and how they are as human beings, I think if it was anybody else, I'd be skeptical. But with knowing them for as long as I have, I wouldn't have any problems with supporting them completely in this. So.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I should mention that we did have several letters that came in concerning this item. Most of them were positive letters that you emailed to us, I think, Bill. And so we did get copies of several of those from people. So I just want you to know that. All right, anyone else? Come on up.
Michael Pickenpaugh, MICHAELPICKINPOUGH. You all know me. You know I got a business out there. It's called Storage. Been out there 35 years. And Bill, would you do me a favor and bring up Lake Minnetonka for me? Had that one picture up, be great. I am for this proposal, by the way. And there's several reasons why.
Right there, Mike?
Excuse me?
That one right there?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, you-
I was looking for the dirt road that goes around the backside. Okay, so you can see that.
so there's County Road 31. Is that
Okay,
right?
so to the right and in that corner, right about here, the county road goes all the way around Lake Bennett, and of course Stonegate's over here. The great thing about this proposal is gonna divide up the traffic around Lake Bennett so we don't have a bottleneck all the time during recreation season on Stonegate. Perfect plan. I heard something about spot zoning. Spot zoning is something that's contrary to the current zoning. This is not contrary. Think about it when you were 50, 60 years ago, when we used to work together and people sold their wares in a store, mom and pop store. We got farmers that want to sell their stuff, their produce in their store. We got recreation out there that we need to support and promote for our county, correct? So we have our Lakers coming, we got our farmers and our producers in the same store. That's building community. That's what we want. That's what we need. There's people in the back row back there that I know personally know that. Even though I have storage, and maybe they'll be in competition, but competition is American. It's American to be in competition. There's no losers here. The Applegates are honorable people. Look at their son. This is the kind of people that we want to see out there. This is how we want to raise our kids. Those kids out on the farm. We want those kids to be as stand up and have the integrity that he does. And they will. We want our kids to be able to grow their produce and sell it in this little store, like we used to do when we were kids alongside the road. Well, you can't do that no more. We need to build community. We need to build good places for kids to do the stuff outside and not on a computer. And as far as dirt roads, come on, more real estate changes hands on a daily basis out there because of the wind. And if you want to get a good dust storm right now, GW's grinding out there. Few cars on a dirt road ain't gonna make no difference. None. So I support him, and that's all I got to say.
Thanks. Anyone else? Scott? Thank you.
Yep. You want the video or the PowerPoint?
PowerPoint first.
Yeah.
I'll get there. My name is Scott Miller. I live at 300264 County Road H. I've been there for over 15 years. And I'm opposed to using a zoning change for this particular purpose. Yes, I do believe it's spot zoning. I do believe it's contrary to the agriculture nature of everything around it. It will have detrimental impact to those who already live on County Road H and County Road 31 and McDonald Drive, I believe is what it's called, where it snakes around after 31. You look at the principal permitted uses, yes, retail stores and services, boat and recreational sales, repair, and storage. What is being missed there is other purposes that would be allowed. You need to think not only about today, but about tomorrow. You need to consider what else could go in there with this type of zoning. And it would be dining and drinking establishments, so you could have yourself a restaurant serving alcohol on site. You could, with a conditional use permit on top of that, have a bar with no dining at all. And that's not necessarily something that's conducive to country living. We purchased our property with the intent that it was a horse property. It was quiet. It didn't have a whole lot of traffic, at least when we were shown the property. Of course, ever since then, Dennis and his wife obviously would agree, traffic is an issue out there already. Has been for years. Gets worse during the summertime because of the lake.
The amount of non-native traffic that's out there is considerable. And they drive like their backsides are on fire. You know, it's one thing to know, I mean, you have your residents who live along these areas and nearby. You get to know them. You know who they are. You know what they drive. You see how they drive. They're respectful. Driving 30, 40, maybe 50 miles an hour if they really have to push it. But the people who come and go don't. They want to get from A to B as fast as they can. Now, coming off the east side of that lake, I have no idea why they don't use County Road G. It's paved. If you're trying to go somewhere back to Minotera, back to town, that's the ideal place to go. Apparently, they must think the sheriff's going to have deputies sitting out there waiting to bust them. But the traffic is an issue. And it's going to get worse with this. It will be an attractive nuisance for the other people around. When this was broached to my wife on a phone call conversation with Dennis, it was laid out as a bait shop. Nothing said about a retail shop, nothing said about off-sale alcohol. Then when the public hearing came out, the publication for the Planning Commission, that's when things started to kind of stiffen up the spine. Because we thought it was going to be a side gig. You know, extra hustle, extra money. Sounds great. That's not what this is. This is full-blown retail, full-blown commercial. And you can put any kind of retail in there. If this store doesn't go, you can put anything else in there you want to that's retail. Again, it's an attractant. It will attract traffic. That's what they're hoping for. To be successful, they have to have business. They have to have people come to them. And it's going to drive people there. And you all know that those roads are terrible. 5 days after they get graded, 5 days after a rain, they're already washboarded. When it's popcorn, you know what, dry out there, the faster they go, because they want to eliminate the washboard effect, more dirt's flying. And we live right on that road.
Where do you live from where this?
We're in between, we're dead center between Stonegate and where they're going to have this.
On the
County
same
Road
side or
H.
the other side? There?
On the same side,
On
north
the
side
same-
of the
on
road.
County Road H? there?
County Road H.
Okay. Where all
Yes.
those horses are?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Correct.
I was just trying to vision where you're at.
Yes, that is correct. Honestly, if you, and I know that you've been hammered on being against business, solar farm, whatever. That's coming around and you know it. It's coming back again. In this case, when this project, if it's approved as is, will continue to drive traffic to the area. In the case of that solar farm, once it's completed, back to normal traffic. Something to think about. Because it impinges on our enjoyment of the property as we purchased it, as we envisioned it. Bill, if you want to go back one. Two, actually. No, go out. This is your zoning map. Of course, everything that's white is agricultural. You see your blue dot, your blue square. Show, huh? By the way, no need a green dot to work on this, not red. That one right there is the old point. Notice that the entire property itself, the entire bounds are zoned for recreation commercial, not a part inside, not a donut hole inside of it. Same's true of the point, or I should say dry dock. Those are recreation commercial, again, encompassing the entire property. You look at your rural residential down to the south along Stonegate, which Bill circled in pencil down below. No.
You want this one?
Yeah, that one works fine. Those rural residential zones are all congruent with the boundaries of the properties. People zone the entire property, not a portion inside, with you know, boundaries that are really only a line on a map. What's delineating this? What's to delineate where the recreation commercial use begins and ends? Is there going to be a fence? What's going to delineate this? Nothing that I know of. Nothing. But the traffic's a big issue. A very big issue. If you would, go to that video. So before we play this, I'll set it up for you. This is turning off of northbound Stonegate onto County Road H. And I don't know if the audio works, but I would, yeah, good.
Yeah, it does.
There's what you see coming up the road. Oh, look, there's a tractor. This happens actually to be Dennis's father. Notice how much of the road it takes. This is an older tractor. It's not even a newer tractor with implements that take up the entire road, folks. Keep your eyes on the edge. Still can't see what's coming. Oh, got a car. In the center, closer to the center than it is the side. This happens to be where they're going to put up their sign right next to their mailbox. It is adjacent to the road. This is going westbound. Our home sits on a table on the top because we have a lateral going around us. It has to be that way. Horse is off to this side. 50 miles an hour. You still cannot see anything over this hill. No cat was harmed in the filming of this, by the way. And the same's true on the other side when you come down. You get on the top of the hill, you still can't see what's on the other side. And that's sitting in a half-ton pickup. So we're not down in a little sports car looking up and over. You want to tell me that the county wouldn't have a problem if there was an accident out there? You knowingly know now that there's a traffic issue with this. Something that could be considered. I've reached out to Steve. He said without an engineering study, we're not going to be able to even get a speed limit change to try to keep people from driving like idiots.
Even if they change it, you'd be lucky if they made it.
Oh, yeah, I know. But you occasionally have a deputy out there, and I tell you what, I'd sit out there with a radar gun for a week to check people, just to let you know, because an engineering study without doing radar is pretty meaningless. It's just going to give you traffic counts. That's all it's going to do. But it's not insignificant. My wife and I have been aware of it from get-go because we bought the property knowingly. We knew there was a possibility of having an accident. We have a driveway that comes up off the side it's the east side of the house, which goes down to our barns and everything, that we run tractors and trailers up out of. And we know that this traffic that's going to be coming will make it even more dangerous. We'll have to move that. We will have to move it for our own safety, if not for everybody else. So it's not as though this isn't going to have a negative impact at all. There will be impacts to those who live there. And quite frankly, if you are inclined to approve of the idea of having this, it should be a conditional use permit, not a change of zoning. Conditional use permit will allow retail sales and service. It will allow this store.
Well, I think you want to wait to talk, don't you, Mark, or where you at? Conditional use permit is going to hold it to the same zoning that it's set at now. It's not going to increase it.
Correct.
But if we change the zoning, then we can tax it at a higher rate, and that's why Bill went this route.
I don't
That's
have
not
anything
the-
to do about the taxation,
Well-
but it was the close proximity to the lake and the services they were gonna provide.
I think Bill was probably looking at the,
But a conditional use would hold it at that value it's established at now. This is a higher step up than what ag is. Isn't that right?
well then, if that's the case, then the Applegate should be in favor of it, right?
Well, they're gonna pay a higher tax by the way they're going out.
Well, I know that.
That's what I'm saying.
I understand that. I understand that completely. But your money, my safety. I value my safety above your money.
I don't think we're gonna make any money on this deal.
The fact of the matter is a conditional use permit would allow retail sales and service. It doesn't say anything about RV storage, which surprises me. I don't know why it wouldn't.
For which one?
For a conditional use permit in ag. Why wouldn't, it doesn't, no, it doesn't have it. I don't see it on this list.
Well, it says boat recreational vehicle sales, repair and storage.
It does under RC, not under conditional uses for ag. Conditional uses under 5.102 includes retail sales and service. Doesn't include, for whatever reason, it doesn't include,
I was thinking it was in there.
no, I don't think it, I could be blind. There's 27 items, but
It says rental storage facility.
it does say that. I suppose you could squeeze it in under that. That would be fine. There's a RV boat storage place about a mile to the east of Stonegate on Highland. It's maybe 80% used. Maybe. So frankly, it's not without negative impacts to those around who live in the area. I don't necessarily disagree that it's not something that's needed out at the lake. Wrong place. Look at all the other recreation commercial zoning. They're all on pavement. Why? Well, there's a reason why.
$100,000 boats like pavement.
They don't like rocks being thrown at the propellers. And you're going to get more than just people with boats. You're going to get RVs. But you're also going to get individuals who are just out camping, and they're going to be, like I said, not exactly respectful of the area. Because they're not respectful, they may not be respectful, period. That's just maybe. We have good and bad eggs out there. That is the case. Something for you guys to think about. Frankly, if you're inclined to push for this, conditional use permit, I think, is the proper way to do it, even though it doesn't give you the tax money you want.
Thanks, Scott. Anyone else want to speak? And we'll just say, Russ, I do think possibly what you mentioned, that we'll try and let the public comment, and then once that's wound down, then we can ask questions on it. I think might be a good idea. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, ma'am. My name's Nicholas Pellegrino, Nicholas. Pellegrino, Pellegrino. Moved to the area about a year ago, so that I could live closer to some friends that I made while I was in the Marine Corps. And I got lucky enough to meet Dennis and Lindsay and start working for them. And they've treated me more like family than an employee. And so, just through that, I know community means everything to them. And that's what they're trying to, improve here is the community and do things for the community. In regards to some of the concerns that were brought up at the advisory meeting, and some that were brought up today, I feel that Lindsay and Dennis, I've seen them do everything they possibly can to work with other people that have had concerns, to try and address those concerns, to try and mitigate concerns. I know for several days they met with, I believe his name is Steve, the gentleman that works on the road,
Road and Bridge.
yes. And they worked with him to come up with a plan to, I think it was trim some trees and stuff to mitigate, possible hazards on the road. And so I know that just being at, what I've seen is them working to address concerns as fast as possible and to the benefit of those around. And to not, put any of those costs on onto the neighbors that could be affected by it. While I was in the Marines, I was a military police officer. And I know from that time that, you know, you can put all the laws and regulations, you know, restricting traffic or anything possible, people are still going to do it. I don't think it's fair to put the ownership on Lindsay and Dennis when they're trying to better the community. I don't think it's fair to, you know, put that on them when, you know, they can do everything they possibly can to, you know, encourage people to be respectful, but at the end of the day, that's on those people. You know, I've heard it say that there's already too much traffic on the road. Well, what's been done so far to try and address that? If it's already a problem, I don't think them building this store is really going to, you know, make it any worse. And that's just my opinion on the matter. Sorry, I had some notes. I want to make sure and then, I mean, lastly, I'd just like to draw attention back to the fact that, you know, they had several individuals write letters in favor of this. I know a good portion of the room here today came out to support this. I believe they even had a petition going, 33 signatures in favor of this. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, it speaks to what the community wants. I hope you guys take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to thank you guys for your time one last time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, I might ask something. I do this sometimes, especially when there's quite a few people here. Some people are in support of something or opposition of something, but they don't really want to get up and speak in front of everyone. But so just with that, I would ask for those that are in favor of this project and you're here in favor of it, could you raise your hand so we can see it? Okay. And, okay, you can put your hands down. If you're here this evening because you're in opposition of it for whatever reason, if you would raise your hand, I would appreciate it. Okay, appreciate that. So that gives the commissioners a little bit of idea about the people that are here. And for some people, sometimes it gives them the confidence that at least we know that what you're here for if you don't end up speaking. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public hearing?
My name is Lydia Christian, Lydia Christian. I am Lindsay's aunt. I have known her obviously for a very long time. I will have to say this, I'm very proud of her and I'm proud of Dennis for what they're doing. I would like to see people come up with ways of helping young people be entrepreneurs and make something. I've been a small business owner for 40-some years with my husband, and I'm still a small business owner with People versus Stuff. We need more people like that instead of a lot of what we all know is out there. And so for this young couple to do this, we need to help them find ways to make it happen instead of making a list of why it won't work. Let's try and fix it, because it sounds like if you've already got a traffic problem and nothing's been done, doesn't sound like a few more cars are going to make a big difference. So I'm very much in favor of it, and I think it needs to happen. I've been in other parts of the country where you drive out in the country for various things like little stores and restaurants. You may drive 10 miles out in the country, but it's wonderful. It's fun. And no, we don't drive like crazy out there. They're, you know, not everybody is as bad as what we expect them to be. And I think we need to give some grace to this couple and this family and encourage them so that other young couples and kids will go down this path as well and support our country. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any others? Yeah.
I'm Susan Floor, Susan Flohr. I live to the east of Dennis on County Road 31. A lot of the emails and stuff that you received and a lot of the people that are in this room don't live there. I live there. I have horses, I have cows. Just north of me, there's a blind hill. Speed limit's 20 miles an hour. Around that blind hill is a corner, blind corner. Speed limit's supposed to be 10 miles an hour. I've never seen anybody drive that slow. There's a bridge to the south of me that already has holes in it. Unless I put something in those holes when I cross with my cattle, they won't go over it. Just to the east of Dennis's house, before you cross the bridge, speed limit's 35, I believe, there. There's gonna be a lot of speeding out there because no one goes the speed limit. If they have alcohol on board, those corners are detrimental. I don't want to have people calling me and asking me to dig them out of a ditch. Bait traffic is going to be different than alcohol traffic. As it was mentioned earlier, when it was brought up to me, it was a bait shop. No alcohol. What's going to happen is everybody's going to drink their alcohol in their campers, and when they run out, they've already had alcohol on board, they're going to go get more, and then they're going to try and drive this road. So I'm concerned about wrecks and stuff like that happening out there. I know there's been wrecks out there before. I don't want to have a bunch of people stopping at my house. I don't want people crashing through my fences. 2 years ago, I had somebody, I have a small part of land, that 1003746. I think that's mine. I've got corrals there. 2 years ago, somebody missed the corner and went through them. Sheriff came out, put some bottles that were laying there back into town. But I had to fix the fence. I had to pay for getting it back up again. Luckily, I had no animals in there at the time. I agree, Dennis is a good neighbor. Lindsay Lewis is a good neighbor. But I just don't think that this is a good thing to do right out there. And they're gonna drive those dirt roads to stay away from the paved roads. Because more than likely, there might be patrolmen on the paved roads, but there's not gonna be anybody on those back roads. And that's why they use those back roads, because they know they're not gonna get caught. I'd like to keep my animals safe. I'd like to keep my property from being trashed. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Lenhart, Mikelenhart. I live at 300 909 Highland Road. I'm a business owner in the country, 3 miles north of Minutair. I've been in business for 25 years. I'm one of the oldest independent car dealers in Scotts Bluff County. When I went before the board to get my property rezoned, it was a nightmare. And all I was trying to do was start a car dealership and a repair shop. And sell flatbeds and grill guards for pickups, and it was difficult. But we got it done. But I've known Dennis a long time. I've known the Applegate family for over 50 years, and I've born and raised in that community. And I think they're good people. What he's wanting to do, I think, is a good idea. Yeah, you're going to have a traffic issue. There's no doubt in my mind. But honestly, as far as the roads go, you're better off driving on a dirt road than you are Stonegate or Highland. So those are the two worst highways in Scotts Bluff County, bar none. And for the life of me, I don't understand this county. You get so much revenue off those two highways from the lake. It'd probably be, if you actually knew the number, it would probably blow you away, the amount of revenue that we see. But I realize there's concerns. I understand that. But the one bait shop that we do have out there, it's questionable if they're ever open. That's always a concern. If you want to buy groceries or anything, you need something, you got to run. Usually now you can run to Minutair. But before that, you had to go to Scotts Bluff. And it would be nice to have something else as far as another option goes. And I'm just here in support of them. Like I said, they're good people. And I know the frustration that it goes through trying to get this done, because it's not easy. And I just, I feel like we need something else. Is that the best location? I don't know. But as far as the Applegates go, I think they'd be very responsible and run it well. And as far as the road goes, you could put up maybe a speed limit sign, maybe even enforce it a little bit better with the sheriff's department. But like I said, I want you guys to know that I'm here in support of the Applegates, and I hope and pray that it goes the right direction. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Go ahead.
My name is David Huss, Huss. I'm from Alliance. I'm not from the area, but I'm down here all the time fishing. I would encourage you guys to do everything you can to work with them on it. I understand there's some traffic issues. It's been pointed out that no one drives that speed, including the people that were complaining about the speed limits. The other places in the area I don't support because I've been treated the way I have at them. I think you need to support people trying to do stuff. I come from an area where they do everything they can to discourage any kind of business that's coming in. Alliances, getting vacant for business, for places to support. And you've got somebody here trying to do something. And I urge you to support them.
All right,
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Come on up. We'll try and wind this down pretty soon.
My name is Sally Fisher, Sallie Fisher. I had no intention of coming up here today. I'm not a good speaker. But when it was said that a lot of the people in this room don't live in the area, I decided it was time for me to come up. My husband and I just bought a property just north of the old Papa Moon on County Road 24. One reason we loved it is because it was close to the lake. We have 5 children and 13 grandchildren, and we want to spend time out there. But when I've gone with my son who lives in Mitchell, out there with his children, invariably we forget something, and then he has to trek back to Scotts Bluff to get whatever it is, and he loses an hour going in and back. There needs to be something there for families so that we don't have to put that much wear and tear on the other roads to get all the way back to Scotts Bluff or down to Minutair. Either way, there's going to be traffic. It's either a few miles away or a couple miles away, or it's going to be, 12 miles back into Scotts Bluff?
either way, there's going to be traffic issues. And I feel for the people that are going to be more affected than I am. But I think, you know, either way, there's traffic and the roads are going to be a problem. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do feel like Lake Minnetonka is a wonderful facility for this area for tourism. And I feel like it needs to have that support of having things local, close by, so that people can utilize the facilities. A lot of people go out to Lake Minnetonka. A lot of people love it, whether they're from right in this area or farther out. And I just think that this business would be a wonderful opportunity to keep people closer to the lake instead of having them run back and forth and tearing up the other roads. Either way, there's going to be traffic. So I'm in favor of it. And I know these two for several years now. And I know their integrity is wonderful. And I think they will do everything they can to make it work for their neighbors too, and try and eliminate as much as they can that's going to affect their neighbors. So thank you for your time.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Tom Calling from Scotts Bluff. TOMCOLLING. Pretty much just gonna reiterate what everybody else is saying about Denny and Lancy there. Integrity and character pretty well speaks for itself. I've known Denny for 20 years, worked with him with Railroad also. Known Lindsay probably 2 years now, and they've come with their Stonegate roofing and done work for me in Scotts Bluff. Followed through, stayed with it, made sure everything was right. I felt like Lindsay's presentation probably gave you about the best idea that you got, that they are thinking everything through as much as they can. They've addressed everything ahead of time that they can, and I think that also shows that they're open to whatever other suggestions may come their way as far as making this a better deal and something more community-minded. And so obviously I'm in favor of it. I can take my grandkids fish when we're out at the lake. It'd be nice, nothing against the other store. I think it'd just be nice to have the competition and options. If somebody's not open, the other person might be. And that might also reduce your traffic going back and forth to Scotts Bluff if somebody's been drinking or whatever. They're less apt to have to take the long trip. And so maybe there's less accidents that way. So anyway, that's what I got.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sir? Eric? Sir Terry.
Terry Schaub, TRRYSCHAUB. I want to point out a couple things as I've sat back there and I've listened. I've heard dreams and I've heard what ifs. Cabela's was built on a dream. Brothers.
Can we get you to use the microphone, please?
Sorry. Cabela's was built out of dreams. A couple brothers building flies in their basement of their house, probably in a residential area more than likely. And then I hear the what ifs. What if all the traffic, potential accidents? We were all young once. To avoid the cops, we took the county roads when we were drinking or to go out and just party. It happens everywhere. I went out to the lake yesterday to see the water levels and see the camping capabilities out there for this upcoming Memorial Day. I thought I'm going to try to find this place because I've naturally seen it on the best newscast out there, Facebook. I mean, if you want to get something out there fast, you know, put it on Facebook. It goes really quick. I got going down the road, finally found the place. Knew Dennis, didn't know Lindsay, introduced myself to Lindsay. Took me through a tour of their little building and asked them some questions. What are you going to have in here? Blah, blah, blah. I left there, turn out onto the county road, go across the top of the hill, meet a red pickup.
headed out into the country. Him would run me off the road, probably somebody that actually lives out in that area. So, is any more traffic going to stop that problem? Probably not. Could it increase it? Probably, but somebody like me headed out there, I'll know exactly where I'm going. I'm driving in my road conditions. That's what the American public should be doing today, but obviously isn't. We just here in the middle of Scotts Bluff here a while back had a rollover accident in a 25-mile-an-hour zone over by First State Bank. One vehicle rollover. Accidents happen, whether it's the county road or whether it's by First State Bank in the middle of well, I guess it's Riverstone now, in the middle of Scotts Bluff. Don't dash their dreams because of what ifs. Gentleman said, well, with this zoning, what if could open a restaurant or a bar? That's a what if. Open a restaurant, please. Something along the lines of Gordon Howard's. The greatest steak you'd ever have in this area back in the day. Gordon Howard's was out in the country as well. Keep all of that in mind. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Anyone else? We're gonna try and wind up pretty quick here.
My name is Zach Zitterkopf, ZACHZITTERKOPF. And the one thing I've seen a lot and heard a lot in here and on social media is, obviously everybody says it, the traffic issue. And there's a lot of people that are saying, well, there's a lot of traffic that's non-residential traffic, not local traffic. Somebody from Colorado is going to have a hard time finding the place, honestly. It's probably going to be a lot more local people stopping by out there. People from Colorado are going to plug it into their GPS. People from, Wyoming, from other states, are going to plug it into Lake Minnetonka into their GPS. If they're coming this far, they got mostly what they need. They're going to go straight out there. And then when they forget something, they'll ask around, hey, where can I go? Then they'll find the location of that place. They're not just going to be in and out. I can see the potential issue with the traffic and the road conditions, but I think doing any kind of like a conditional permit, that's just kind of senseless in my opinion, because if you just rezone it, like you guys know, we can up the taxes out there, which is going to help us take care of those roads a little bit better and take care of those road conditions a little bit better. Most of the people that are speeding around on these county roads, they're kids, most of them, or people that just don't have anything better to do, and it's mostly locals. I don't really see out-of-state plates speeding down county roads here. I really don't, and I drive county roads a lot. That's my favorite weekend thing to do. Take my kid out, go drive around, check out pivots, check out wildlife, just kind of check out some of the cool houses that are out there. And most of the time when I see people speeding, it's, local farmers or their kids or just some kids from town that have nothing better to do except for go try to tear up dirt roads. I think that the sheriff's department they're going to know when this place opens up, they're going to know the traffic's going to be up. So people that are concerned about police not being out there and not checking out traffic, I think that's nonsense to me, because that's going to draw more of them to go out there. Because I've been on a couple ride-alongs and some of them were extremely boring, and that's what we did. We drove county roads and checked things out and ran calls, and so I know they're out there. I know they're looking. So that's just kind of my opinion. I'm for it. I think that rezoning it is definitely the smart move as far as the tax implications for taking care of the roads. And I think as far as worrying about people speeding, honestly, in my opinion, I think it's going to bring speeding down, because people are going to be slowing down looking for it. They know it's only a quarter mile out there, so they're not going to be flying down that road of 55 miles an hour knowing it's a quarter mile down the road. They're going to be going at a reasonable rate of speed to say, okay, where's that sign going to be? It's going to be somewhere up over this hill. Let's slow down and take a look. I think that might even reduce the speeding out there. So just kind of my thoughts and opinions on that.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Commissioners, my name is Stephen Lacy, STEPHEN LACY. What we've heard today has been a lot of pre-existing issues like traffic, the road, the
turns, the hills, those all exist out there, and that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about zoning. Is rezoning that going to drastically increase traffic to the lake? I doubt that. But what I do know is that there are tens of thousands of people that go to the lake every year. And we, as a community, need to offer a service to those travelers and potentially, make a dime off of some sales tax that might help with some of those pre-existing conditions that we have out there. They're not asking to open a junk shop or a solar farm or even start a junkyard. They're asking for a business where you will receive sales tax on a daily basis as long as season's open. And it's my vote and that we all stand in favor of a new business, a new opportunity. Would you bring up the map of the whole lake where it shows the zoning with the different commercial? I think it was in one of the PowerPoint maybe.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Where I'm going with this is there's not very much potential for existing commercial property out there. At some point going forward, the next 10 years, I expect to see at least 5 to 10 more blue dots out there as other businesses come to see the money that can be made, whether it be a boat repair shop or potentially more storage. That blue square on Square 25 there, if I were from Dollar General, that seems like pristine locations, already zoned appropriately. We can move in, we can build and go forward. And we could hope that more small business owners would want to open up out there because there's just not a lot of business out there, not a lot to be offered. And when you have the real estate already, should you have to pick up and move to accommodate, a quarter mile, half mile of dirt road? I don't think so. I think as a community and as the county, we should all support all small businesses. So thanks for your time.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right.
So, I truly think that kind of voices have been heard. If you'd like, I can rebuttal some of the topics that I've heard or questions.
We need to get out of this so we can do that.
You're right.
Okay, let's do that.
Right,
Perfect.
and then we're gonna go to the commissioners here in just a little bit. If they have questions for you, we'll let them ask you questions.
Do you want me to
But we're
stay
gonna
or
wait.
go?
We'll let you sit down because the first questions may not be for you, it may be for somebody else, so.
Okay.
All right, but we'll let you come back up when it's appropriate. All right, we're gonna officially close the public hearing portion of this. And we're gonna go to comments and or questions from commissioners, and we'll go from there. Russ, I know you have some things. Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, if you two could come back up, Dennis. He just told her to sit down. Okay, do you have a copy of this picture here?
Yeah.
Can you bring that up for me?
Mark?
My
Yeah.
phone shows you're building on it, this doesn't show it.
Russ, be sure you talk into your microphone. They can't hear you back there.
All right. Whoop, there we go.
There, that one?
Right, okay, now, right there where the A is on agriculture,
Mhm.
is where your building is gonna live, or it lives now?
Basically,
Where that yellow.
Right there where the
square
yellow, okay, that's perfect. Whoop, can you leave that there?
Yep.
There you go. Okay, when you pull in there with a boat, you're gonna pull up either to the right side of that, or you're gonna be to the south of that building. You don't have a flow chart of getting any vehicles in and out of there going right. The first thing you're gonna do is they're gonna drive around. You don't back up a boat. 'Cause
Can
you'll
I
back
point out
into-
how our property would work for that?
Go right ahead.
Can you pull that down a little bit, Bill?
Do you have an infield in
That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody can drive into our property here. We will have designated parking right along here as well as over here. You do have the ability, you do have an arena right here, but it is already, we drive it all the time, that you have the ability to, with a truck and trailer, a semi, it does not necessarily matter the size of the vehicle, we've driven them all through. You can make this loop all the way around.
That's correct, and
And
that's,
then another way you are able to get out is at the very top Or you can't
You're a
really
little
see,
bit.
you can loop all the way up, which
Some
we
of
have.
this stuff isn't in this picture. It's been cleaned up and moved.
I realize, but the point I'm trying to make is, Dennis, that I would like to see all of that within your recreational area, that the boats are traveling your road in and out, that they're not going off of that property onto agriculture back onto your property.
Right.
Extend, you know, you're not talking a lot. And the reason I'd like to see it extended is, my next question is, are you guys thinking of storing campers and also maybe letting people camp overnight or
No.
eventually?
Not
Absolutely not camping.
Okay, no camping, okay.
There was an interest for maybe storing boats. We haven't really addressed that.
And that's fine,
There now,
that's
but
all
that-
good.
We threw that in there with the idea of maybe in the future, if something changed on the property, we'd do that.
We had a young man just speaking and saying you might eventually have a Gordon Howard's out there, which would be great. But with the
No.
way you're zoned right now.
No, thank you.
But the way you're zoned right now, you don't have septic system enough, you don't have enough acres to put in a big enough septic system.
We have,
I'd like to see you extend the size of that, have Billy extend that to over 2 acres if you could, to what you're asking for, so that you could qualify and not be back here in 2 years and say, hey, we gotta make this bigger. It'd be a different board here.
I mean, is that something that is that something that can be approved today? Because I feel if it's something that we have to come back for just in order for another acre,
That's what, you'd have to ask Billy on that. I don't know why we can't approve it. I guess it would be in a,
I
know why
just,
we couldn't.
my whole thing is we're trying our hardest to get open for lake season.
if you're not big enough for what you're gonna do, my vote would be a no. But if you're gonna do this correctly, I would support you. But right now,
I'm not
you're driving
opposed
out
to
of
the
that
idea.
property onto ag, back into here, and if you park tractors out in there, then somebody wraps up their boat, who's gonna be liable?
I
for it?
understand the liability concerns
Okay,
in that.
if it's all this recreational ag or recreational commercial, then that's the way it should be set up, and you keep your tractors on your ag property.
Is that something that we can adjust?
I feel like it when
If we can move the
change this
envelope.
envelope we have right here.
to encompass the turnaround area.
The other issue I have is that you have a zoning split right between that building, which the assessor says he could live with that. I personally don't really care for the way the original drawing was. You've attached the building to your ag shop, and now you want to split the zoning between the building, and it's one building.
I think because now we are talking and considering expanding the envelope to encompass all of the turnaround zone, I feel like it would be appropriate to include that shop so that we don't have a puzzle piece of everything. Oh, this is ag, this is not, this is ag. You know what I mean? I think that it would just
That's what I would
be
like
of
to see,
benefit all across, even for the assessors. So if we were able to increase our envelope in order to encompass all of the turnaround spots so that the liability isn't there of, is it ag, is it commercial? I agree with what you're saying, and if it's something that we can
That
do.
way you have a good flow chart of getting all those boats in and out of your property, and you can still take your ag across all that and do all those things that
I
you're
mean,
already doing.
I'm just here to give you more tax dollars. So
Well, we really appreciate it.
I like how we went from 1 acre to 2, but you got me. Here's more money. Is it something that we can proceed with today?
If you want to expand that
Yes.
envelope, I don't think there's an issue with that.
I don't think there would be personally. I would
Okay.
have a problem voting for it. If you would expand it out to where it's big enough, if Billy can get it big enough so you have a flow around for your vehicles.
You just want me to include any part that's gonna have any traffic
Turnaround.
driving
Yeah,
through there.
where they're gonna go around that
So
shop.
you guys can get me that
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
A little bit west and a little bit north.
Yeah.
Wherever you feel you're gonna have traffic at.
That's totally fine. I can have, is it
I'd
something
like
that,
to see you move that whole north line north and the whole west line west and square it off so you have a good flow around there, whatever you think you're gonna
I
need.
can definitely do that for
Try to
you.
get it up to a couple of acres. If you decide to expand, you're gonna be within your boundaries to grow.
That's fine.
Sounds good. Thanks for the
We'll see if the rest of the people.
You gotta see if the
are
rest of
in
people like
favor
that
of
idea.
that.
I'm like,
That's all I'm asking you for.
okay.
That's Russ's question
One.
for you. Yeah. All right, Mike, are you ready?
Yes.
Or Russ, are you done?
I'm
You
done.
guys- Okay.
Yeah, I drove out there and drove the roads, looked around. I stopped in, looked at the property, visited with Dennis and the crew and his wife, and had a very nice visit. I'm very supportive of this because when I grew up, we had country stores, and they were so handy and so convenient. And I really feel this area needs something like that because it's kind of out there in a remote area. And definitely, if we want to attract visitors to the lake, if we have commercial properties out there that can supply their needs, that's a benefit for the recreational people, the tourism. And I like the idea of your ideas for expansion to help the local entrepreneurs with their produce, their honey, stuff like that. There's a lot of people, I visit a lot of people out in that area who are doing little things and trying to figure out how they can market their stuff. And this here is going to be ideal. I know there's a little greenhouse just starting up to the west there on County Road G. I think that'd be very beneficial for them. And like I say, I know it's going to be a safety issue on roads, but it is on every road. I drive a lot of roads. I ride motorcycles a lot. And, you know, you could dictate by law how people are supposed to drive, but they're people. And so the what ifs, you always need to think about the what ifs, plan for the worst, be glad it doesn't happen, because I work for emergency management in that area. But we can't let that stymie growth and encouragement for our young people in the county to develop businesses and try to excel. And I like the attitude of your son. I wish more people were like that young man.
Very proud of him.
Hard worker, knows what he wants. He has a goal, and by golly, we need to make him reach that goal if we can.
Very proud of him.
Anyone go next?
Yeah, I also drove out there. I didn't know about it. We didn't have our packet yet. I saw it on Facebook. I contacted Lindsay and drove out. We looked at it. And Russ, as far as your concern is, that was mine also until I pulled into the yard. And that hole, that's why I say if we pull that down, up above there, you can see where the road's either on either side where that top corral is. You can get a pretty good sized vehicle clear to the north side of that to bring it, I think. Around the top of the building? Around the top side of this, yeah, right in there. Because that was a concern of mine. It
Not
looked,
there that far, no, just right north of the main building. Yeah, just.
yeah,
right in
you
there.
can see it right there.
That's
You
what I
can,
said, we can expand that out.
yeah, you can go
expand that out.
clear.
Yeah, because this isn't there, that was just some panels I had up. You
Yeah.
just running around.
Yes.
spinning around.
And you can go clear to the north, clear around that.
Plenty of room to get around there, and plenty of room to get around.
But the way it is right now, with the way we've got it blocked out right now, it's too tight. You wouldn't get 3 pickups and boats in there and try to back out.
Yeah,
The
but
way if you
and-
make it flow chart and make it flow.
But again, when I was out there, there
What
was.
are you doing?
No idea.
What are you doing there, Billy Boy?
Jason, would you give him a hand with that, please?
No, when I was there, that was a concern also, was the size, but after you got to looking at it, there was all kinds of room clear to that north side to pull around with a boat or I think you could take a semi in there if you wanted.
We've
to.
had multiple.
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of room.
That's why I'd like to see
Yeah.
the zoning go up into that area.
They've got a really nice little building, a little addition to it.
Yeah.
It's not big, not huge, but it's, it's certainly going to be beneficial to what you're doing. As far as the traffic is concerned, Scott, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't know whether there's going to be the traffic that's out there is going to stay there. It's the same traffic. I don't know, and I'm sure, and I hope you have an increase in traffic. But I was there. The road was great. The grader just had gone through. It was in wonderful shape, actually. I did not go any farther back the other way, but I thought it looked nice. I thought it was well built. It was a nice building. I had questioned while I was talking with you about the septic system. Wasn't sure where we were at with all that, with the acres that you have. And that would take care of that if we move that up to the 2
future
acres.
expansion, I think it would help you guys.
If you want to make it a little bit bigger for whatever reason, you could do that. And that was the only biggest concern I had was just the small area.
What are you looking at, Russ? Look better?
Yeah, anywhere there, you could come down a little bit, I guess, but anywhere in there, just so the vehicle can get around. What do you guys think, Dennis?
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I looked at it,
That answers my
and
three
it was on a
questions.
Wednesday afternoon, so there wasn't a whole lot of traffic. I'm guessing the weekends are probably more, but I think it's going to be probably about the same traffic.
Like people have stated, they use our road already. The traffic is already there. It's already been addressed.
They're coming from the lake on that
Exactly.
road to
They're
the,
trying to avoid certain roads, thinking
Yeah.
there's no cops or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's traffic. So truly, we've already asked, can we have traffic counters out there? Can we please have more signage? Do people, if somebody wants to break the law, they're gonna break the law. I can't control that, unfortunately. I'm not a law officer. There's only so much that I can have in control as a small business owner. But with that being said, I am doing absolutely everything that we possibly can to mitigate any of those problems instead of just forgetting about them.
Those hills are going to stay there.
Well, yeah,
They're not-
I can't fix that.
They're not going anywhere. They're not going. Yeah, and the farm equipment is going to be there, whether you have a store there or whether you don't.
Yep.
And,
Most of the farm equipment's gonna be my dad. I'm kind of frustrated.
well, you need to visit with him about that then.
Well, he's in the audience
Because
right now.
It looked like you almost ran into Scott, so we need to be careful with that. But anyway, I looked at it. You've answered all of my questions.
Thank you.
And I think addressed the concerns that I had with it, so that's where I'm at.
Thanks. Charlie?
I'd much rather see the commercial activity take place on pavement, but nobody on pavement is offering this right now. So, there is the shop on the north side of the lake, but it's not open all the time. Definitely no one on the
Can't hear you, Charlie.
definitely no one on the south side of the lake is offering anything like this on pavement. Where there's a need, these guys are willing to fill it. So.
We agree with you about pavement, and if we had the funds to purchase perfect property, trust me, we would do that. I feel like I don't want to be penalized because this is the property we own and this is the area that we're able to do it in right now.
No need to punish them for that. They're willing to provide a service. I think we need to support them. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Except somebody brought up Dollar General, so there's probably going to be one on the corner.
Well, here we go.
They seem to pop up whenever,
Right?
wherever
All
they're at.
kinds of areas.
Better than trees in
Okay,
Let me
go ahead. If you're going to say.
Well, let me mention a couple things that I had real quickly. Someone mentioned sales tax. I don't believe we collect any sales tax at places like this, and there is none for the county. The state gets that in the rural areas. There may be some additional real estate taxes if it goes to commercial. But in and of itself, tax procurement for us would be minimal. It wouldn't produce that. Want to be sure and say that you've talked about the possibility about alcohol, but this hearing is not about alcohol.
That's right.
And if alcohol was requested later, it would be another hearing in front of this group.
Yes, please.
And we would be talking about that specific issue. There's some, so I was out there yesterday, and when I didn't pull in, but on that building, there's some writing on that building. What does that writing say on the?
Oh, we haven't completed construction right
Okay.
yet. So we are still in the process. We are working very hard to get the outside completed. All of a sudden, every rainstorm of the year has happened this week. And so it's just a little difficult. Our intention is to have that finished, obviously, before we open.
Okay, so it's writing about that name of the business.
No, it's house
It's
wrap.
house
Ice
wrap.
and rain shield that you put
That's all
underneath
that
it.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Very
that won't be seen.
All right. I was also concerned about access, not only turning around, but I'm a little concerned about the access out by the road and how tight the driveway is in general, but I think that'll be dealt with. I certainly want to say that I'm interested in small businesses being able to give it a go. And I think that's what this does. The sheet said that it does align with our comprehensive plan. Would that be correct, Bill?
So I showed you this first one. It was page 70, I believe, out of the comprehensive.
I do have it printed for you as well in the packet I
Right,
handed
and
you.
I seen that was noted in your presentation information. So,
These two.
and so I think I understand that.
Yeah, it just makes mention that one place that they want to direct it, I guess, commercial development, rural areas shall be restricted to, and then it specifically says specific businesses such as campgrounds or establishment that coincide with the historical or recreational site. So
Okay.
that's the lake.
Okay,
All of that zoning around there is all recreational, whether it be commercial or residential.
so I did, drive County Road H, I believe that is, and, yeah, I think I met 2 vehicles along the way, and, yeah, it wasn't a whole lot different than most county roads that I'm a little bit familiar with. And then I went north on 31, and that was a little bit hairier out there, a little dicier to negotiate all the curves and whatever. And I didn't see those slower speed limit signs that you're talking about, but maybe they're out there and I just missed them.
I
But
do have
we may
pictures.
need to address those at some point with the county road area and
They're
the
just
sheriff's
advisory
office.
signs is all they are. They're not speed limits. They're just the advisory for the
Okay.
curves.
I know those curves are sharp, and I met a couple cars along the way. I did grow up in an area 3 miles east of Baird, which then another 2 miles east was Dunder Store, and another 4 miles northeast was the Lycus Corner Store, and about 4 miles back towards the northwest was Muma's Corner, and they all had the old, what today we would call a mini mart, but they were rural areas that you were able to buy things, and that happened about every 4 or 5 miles apart. And today's transportation doesn't require those as much, but I do believe it would be a similar type store, and I agree that it is gonna cause some additional traffic if it's approved. But we deal with those kinds of things with any development. And although these are county roads, dirt roads, I did find them, Scott, to be in better shape than maybe what you described a little bit as far as washboarding. You know, right now, they're not bad. So, yeah, it'll be powdery and washboardy, so. Anyway, so my story is, I'm going to be in favor of it. I'm okay with expanding it a little because I did think things there were a little tight.
Okay.
I'm still worried about into the driveway area being a little tight, but I know that you can deal with that as needed, so.
We bring 40-foot semi-trailers
in there all the time,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, we can get shipments.
sure.
Yeah.
But if you have a guy in a boat parked at the line, can another guy in a boat get on the other, they're gonna
Well,
drive.
Yeah, I have some room to expand my driveway too. Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wow.
You'll deal with it as needed.
Yeah.
I appreciate
We
it.
can make adjustments.
All right, anything else?
If not,
No,
I'd
sir.
like to make a motion for approval with the
Additions,
additions to it that we talked
To the
about.
west and north.
And I'll second that.
So we have a motion to approve the request with the additional footage to the west and the north.
West and north?
Mhm.
I'd like to see it a minimum of 2 acres.
That was a question. What if it ends up being 2.5?
Great.
No, okay, that's,
It
I
ends up
just wanted to
6,
throw that out there.
I'm
What?
Hey,
It's
I threw out the-
still all on their property. They're not
That's
encroaching
right,
on
they're
anybody
on
else.
their.
So you're okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. What's that?
I said, that's enough.
Yeah. I know, we went longer than what I hoped.
Sorry.
I knew it would be a lengthy
Well,
item.
No, that's good,
All,
We
good
appreciate you.
discussion.
Well, I was told nobody had
all-
ever had support
all of-
in the room, so.
if all of these salesmen you brought with you help you sell this much stuff, you're gonna need a way bigger room.
Let's go ahead and vote.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We did.
Everybody did, but
There,
you're,
now you did.
Waiting for me.
you have 5 yeses.
Thank
Motion's
you.
carried.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Take care of that young man. I feel like Mike, at 14 years old, like you couldn't get squat out of me in front of people. Good job. Good job, Betty.
Okay.
All right.
Can we take a short?
Yeah, I think we will do it now. I know there's several of you that are still on the agenda and we didn't get very far,
We haven't.
but we are gonna take an 8-minute break. We'll be back at 6:17.
That means I'm getting out early. Yeah.
Those are Scott's.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, there's someone there too. He has a bunch.
Now,
I had enough.
I'm excited for him.
Two, man, I didn't think they had to sell that much.
Yeah.
Ready? Hey, are you ready? All right, meeting will come to order. We'll continue with the meeting.
Again, please.
We're not done yet?
So the next item is Board of Equalization. We'll need a motion to go into Board of Equalization.
So moved.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second, go in Board of Equalization. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses.
Motion's carried. So the first item under Board of Equalization is discuss and consider action for one motor vehicle exemption for Regional West Medical Center, Scotts Bluff.
Okay, I'm presenting for
that?
Heather. Am I okay to stay here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so previously exempt needs, it'll be added to the January information she presents to you typically. Right now, this is tax loss of 2835 and she recommends approval.
How much is it?
She as in Heather.
How much-
$28.35.
That's it? Make a motion, we approve it?
Second it.
A motion and a second to approve the exemption for Regional West Medical Center. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Motion's carried. Will the next item discuss and consider action for one motor vehicle exemption for VSL Vetter Home Health Care of Gearing LLC in Gearing?
It is previously exempt. It's a tax loss of $125.40.
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the exemption for Vetter Home Health. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Okay, motion's carried. We'll go on to the next item, which is discuss and consider action for over and under report. Robert?
Good evening. So, you should have a copy of the over-under report in your packet. This is a common thing each year. So as you know, the assessor's office assesses taxes as of January 1st of each year. We do an abstract by March 19th of each year, and these over-unders would be items that were either over or undervalued as of March 19th that we need to get cleaned up. Many of these are due to parcel splits. Subsequent to that, we've had a couple of permissive exemptions in there that became they were no longer permissives. So just a few items. Actually, it's a pretty short list this year with a net change of about $163,000. There's probably about 50 items on that list that you have.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Do we have a motion to accept the over-under report?
I move that we accept the over-under report.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Motion's carried. We'll go on to the next item, which is receive the tax list corrections. Are you doing that one, Rob?
I normally don't speak to
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Normally-
that's true. We have it in our packet.
Right.
I'll move
And,
for approval.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Okay, motion's carried. We'll go on to the next item, review and consider approval or changes to commissioner letter with regard to property protest filings.
So you should have a copy of a draft in your packages. I took the first stab at drafting this for the board with instructions that we previously talked about, and I believe agreed to that, you know, we want to make sure we give instructions and be consistent between the assessor's office and the board, if at all possible. So I tried to lay out all of the things that we discussed previously in a meeting that were the letter that would be from the commissioners to the taxpayers, and this would be on our website. And assuming that we can agree to terms, it would be the same letter that I use and provide at our window when protests are filed, as well as present those to anyone who has a hearing. We'll present these at a desk out front, a subsequent copy to make sure that everybody understands the process and what's expected of them and not expected of them for that hearing.
So the soonest opportunity for them to get one of these would be when they file.
June 1st. Well, June 2nd would be a Monday. Yeah.
At any time, whenever they actually come, either fill out the form or they might fill it out and mail it to you.
They can mail it or email it
To me.
to the clerk's office.
Right, and so when they do, you would send them one
I
back?
will.
I don't even know if I'd remember to do that, is the thing.
Yeah. So whenever, we'll just have to coordinate. If they come to the office, clearly they're gonna get one. We can coordinate where we mail them out, as long as we know that they came in via mail. And I think they'll already know that because you guys tell us about email.
Can they also,
And postal service.
whoops, can they also file online?
They can send an email to, I have a protest email set up.
So it can be email and or snail
Regular mail
Right.
at our counter.
Okay. Those are the 3 primary options.
That's right.
All right.
And I don't know if everyone's had an opportunity to review the letter, whether you're ready to vote that this.
I have a question.
Yes.
What if we, where we provide the link for online, the form, the protest form, what if we include this, like a scan or a fillable scan?
I do plan on putting this.
So
on
that the
assessment
protest
report.
form would be there and this at the same time is what I'm saying.
Not different places, but yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That way we could ensure that if they got the form, they had the opportunity to see the
And
commissioner
I'm not sure
letter.
historically whether this letter from the commissioner has gone on the clerk's webpage or mine. I think historically it's gone on the
always on the
assessor's
assessor's
page.
page, yeah.
So we'll put this right with the Form 422.
That's why that
can do
might
that.
be a way to make sure that they get it if they
Yeah.
file it
I haven't
that way.
put that out there yet. I just want it pending the approval on this. But
Robert, on
I'm open to questions.
Section 12C, comparison to similar properties. One of the things that we talked about was using a licensed real estate agent's market analysis.
You talked about
You
it.
did
I did not agree to it
And why would you not agree to that?
because they're not a certified appraiser. And I think that they're, quite honestly, they are a certified appraiser to do this type of work. And they don't have the same motivations that a realtor has. A realtor has motivations to sell a property, to get more listings, and I don't think that's appropriate. The banks, mortgage lenders will not
No,
use.
I'll disagree with you with that.
You can disagree with me all day long.
I will.
I'm not going to change my.
I will.
mind.
How many market analysis have you done on real estate?
I'm not a realtor.
Okay, these folks are. And I can tell you that they do extensive research before they come up with a number, either listing the property or selling the property. It is a
We've been
step-
through all this, Ken, Mr. Harris, we've been through this. And I think we can agree to disagree. I disagree with you. I think it would be a bad practice. My office will not accept them. Period.
We could certainly accept them and look at them.
The board can do what the board wants to do.
Well, you're not putting it on here that they could bring.
You're more than welcome to write your own letter to the taxpayers.
That's not what I'm saying, Robert.
Okay, you can change your letter.
What I'm saying is that rather than go out and get an appraisal, which is gonna cost them $300 or $400, depending on the property.
That's right.
They could pay a realtor to do a market analysis.
And it will not work for the assessor's office. That's all I'm saying. We've been through this many, many times.
Well, no, not many, many times, but
Yes,
that's
we have.
okay. But yet you're willing to accept if the protester comes in with comparables, correct?
This is the board. I'm not making
No,
a
just answer-
decision. This
just
is a
answer my
presentation
question.
to the board.
If-
This is a letter from the board
I
to
understand.
the taxpayer.
But if the
Okay.
taxpayer comes to you with 3 or 4 comparables, or comes here with 3 or 4 comparables, how many times have we accepted those comparables?
Many times.
Okay, but you're telling me you won't accept a realtor, a licensed realtor doing a
Correct.
significant market analysis?
Correct. The difference is that it's a licensed appraiser. Their motivations are different. When a taxpayer presents comparables here, it's for the board to consider, not for the assessor. I will not take those. That would be a board decision. Okay?
And
Let's
we're
make
back
a
to a
distinction.
1 year, we're back to the 1 year.
That's right,
back.
1 year.
But it
If it's
isn't a pay.
if it's a certified appraisal, I'll take it and we'll make it stick.
Okay, now in the letter, you're saying, oh, you just told me I could write my own letter, which I didn't appreciate, but that's okay too.
Well, quite honestly, I don't think it's my responsibility.
I understand. But why couldn't you include that with that so that a protester knew that that was one of the options that they had? Even though whether you like it or whether you
To bring
don't.
comparables?
Yeah, this
It
board.
says it
this
in there
board-
that they can bring comparables to the board meeting.
Okay,
And comparable, and that could include it could include an appraisal that you would accept.
That's right.
You don't accept just for, comparables, you don't guarantee that you're gonna accept that.
That's right.
You basically guarantee a certified appraisal. But you also don't guarantee a, real estate market analysis. But any of that stuff can be brought
Sure.
and presented as evidence from anyone. And then we can take it for whatever, whatever we think it's worth. And there could be other information when they, comparables to their neighbors or whatever the case is.
That's right.
They
For the
can
board to
bring it,
consider, the
but-
board can consider and make a decision.
Right.
I'm just saying from an assessor's office perspective, you will not get me to agree to a broker price opinion or a realtor's opinion.
And I understand what Ken would like for it to be is if they have a market analysis, you ought to accept it the same as an appraisal. And you've said for years that you won't do that, and I don't think the state will allow that either, but they may, but go ahead. Kelly.
I think Ken's point is this is a letter from you.
Right.
And if you, as the Board of Equalization during protests, will accept a market analysis, could that please be included in the letter so that we don't have to set up a hearing? Do I understand you?
pretty much all
Okay.
all I said.
The only difficulty with that is that we're in disagreement about what will be accepted because I will be forced to write a different letter that I give to the taxpayers when they file their protest because I will not accept it. So we can have 2 different letters and that's perfectly fine.
If you opt not to accept it, and this board does, and we make whatever changes are necessary, we know it's only good for 1 year,
That's right.
correct?
That's right.
Okay, so if they bring enough information to us to convince us that you haven't valued their property properly, and we accept that, or if they bring in comparables and we accept that, whether you accept it or not, really doesn't matter, because they're only gonna get 1 year relief anyway.
That's right. I'm just saying if they want the assessor's office to accept it, it needs to be a certified appraisal. We've talked about it numerous times and that hasn't changed. And, yes, the board can make decisions based off of whatever information you want to.
Even though the legislature approved it,
Approved what?
approved a market analysis from a realtor. That was done several years ago.
Yeah, I'm not gonna accept it, so.
I see.
Yeah.
Are you saying
Feel
that
free to
the
call the property tax administrator.
Right,
The state
that-
legislature approved, yes,
approved market analysis
that's correct.
as, but not, I don't believe, and again, I'd be interested in seeing it if you want to bring it, and that's for property tax protests, that it can be the law and gospel just as much as a certified appraisal. I don't think it says that.
And I'm not gonna disagree with you, Mark, because I don't know exactly what it says. But what they did say is that it was a tool to be used during protests.
A
And
tool
they-
to
and
be
they would-
used,
and they
I
would
agree.
accept that.
Not any different than a comparable.
Yeah. And it says that they can bring
Strongly about
comparables.
addressing the legislature.
It says that they can bring comparables. I mean, I don't know if everybody's read it in its entirety. If you have edits, I mean, obviously, if you don't want to approve it tonight, that's fine. You can redline it, you can redline it yourself, whatever you want to do. I think this accurately captured what we had discussed in our planning session. It was on the record a few months ago.
I think,
What difference in appraisal do you, as far as what you guys study or learn of appraisal is different than a realtor? How much difference?
Well, we do mass appraisal, okay? So by even accepting a certified appraisal, a fee appraisal on a single property is an exception because it's completely different than mass appraisal.
Okay.
If we're going to make an exception, that's the one to make it on. Okay, so because mass appraisal, we look at groups, we look at neighborhoods, valuation groups, groups of properties when we value. We don't look at individual properties. While we gather the components from individual properties, there are other neighborhood and valuation group components that go into that as far as market analysis and the sales study. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but then I know there's a difference, and that's why I believe in appraisals myself. That's why you've been to school. That's why we should honor what you guys do down there. That's, you know.
I mean, I didn't dream it up.
I know.
If you go to any lender in the United States, they're going to require certified appraisal.
So when we say that we're going to look at the comparables that a property owner brings in, that includes the market analysis that a realtor is going to do. That's the way I see it.
They can bring whatever they want to as supporting documentation. They should bring it whenever they file the protest.
And we're not going to accept the market appraisal as is. We're going to consider it as part of the information that we look at.
The difference being, they come to my office, we're gonna try to resolve as many of these as we can anyway, but they bring a certified appraisal that's less than 1 year old. It will never, it will come up to this group as is for a signature only for no hearing needed.
But the other thing we're doing by doing what with the realtor thing, we're giving them a 1 year relief, and we're signing up hundreds of people for next year. We're not getting actual values. They're not willing to spend the money for the appraisal, and we're willing to give them a 1 year relief for the next 10 years. And all it does is just kicks that can down the road. And
All the appraisal does is 1 year anyway.
no, sir, that's permanent. That's your benchmark. Your appraisal is your starting point, and it's good for now till hell freezes over.
no, it's not good that
No, it's
long.
not.
No,
That's pretty
no.
close.
There will be annual
The appraisal's
adjustments.
good for more than that.
Well,
he
that'll
just
be
said
the
it's a
base,
year.
but
It's
next
your
year,
base,
if
and
there's
your
a,
taxes go up
Right.
next year,
But
then
he
raise.
sent 17,000 increases, so there's a
Yeah.
whole lot of properties that
So-
are only good for 1 year and 1 year only.
that changes it.
Appraisal or no appraisal.
Yeah,
Right.
That's for 1 year. If it's an appraisal, a certified appraisal, it comes to me. We'll accept that. That'll be the base. And then future years will be based off of the sales study. So there may be a 3%, a 7%, whatever percent increase, and a land or a lot adjustment.
It'll
That's just that
establish
year.
a new base.
Yes, we had those.
But
last-
that's
we
all.
had- But we had some of those last year that came in, they were way lower than what they were valued. And so that 7% isn't gonna be isn't gonna rock their world to put 7% on. They lowered them 20% on some of those last year.
The majority of the ones that we do from up here
Mhm.
are off the comparables. We do have appraisals and we do have some sales.
But how about those comparables? Are those comparables accurate? Which one isn't accurate? Is it the ones that we're fixing or the ones that need fixed? We don't know.
Well, we don't know, and everybody that brings stuff in is gonna be different,
That's right.
right? And so we don't know, but we certainly allow them to bring comparables because we're trying to be the Board of Equalization. to
Equalization. We're
try and
not the
make
Board of
things
Appraisers.
fair across the road. And the I don't have any problem with encouraging them to bring a realtor's, what do we call it again?
Market analysis.
Market analysis to bring it as part of their comparables, but it will not be considered the same as a certified appraisal.
Right.
It'll be one piece of information that we can use as we look at things.
Well, that would make two then, because if the property owner does their own comparables and brings them here,
Right.
how many
I'll bring
times
that
do we
too.
accept those?
I don't know that
Consider them.
we
Sometimes-
consider them. Yeah, I don't
The
want to say
problem-
we.
The only thing I'm asking is that that is included in the letter, and you obviously don't want to do that.
I think it is in the letter, because if he says comparisons to similar properties, the comparisons
you're missing
must
the
accompany
point.
your protest form.
That's right.
Documents presented at the hearing will not be considered. I want them up front when they file the protest. It's too time consuming to review multiple comparable properties during a hearing. Okay. And as a reminder, and I put that in here as well, it's not the board's job to find the protesters comparables for them. Okay. They need to come prepared with their comparables, with whatever information they have to present to the board. It is not the board's responsibility to sit there for 15 minutes and try to find a comparable.
If they want to hire a realtor to find their comparables, they're welcome to do that. We don't need to tell them that.
We have sales studies that are available. So if they live in, XYZ neighborhood and they want to see all the sales in that neighborhood, those are available to them. Because that would be their comparables, any sales in their neighborhood.
Mhm.
Last year, we had people in Scotts Bluff using comparables in Gehring and the country, and clearly not comparables.
And we didn't consider them.
I would say in most cases, you didn't.
And again, any of those comparables, we get to decide, many times with some of your guidance, we get to decide how much weight that we allow those comparables. So to me, the only issue here is the market analysis from a real estate agent. And in my opinion, I agree that it's not the same as a certified appraiser. And I don't have a problem with allowing it to be part of the comparables, but we're gonna use it with the same weight as what we do comparables. We're gonna look at it, we're gonna see whether we agree with it or not. Where a certified appraisal, you're already saying that you'll accept that.
That's right.
And it won't even get to us.
won't come.
Won't
That's
even
Right,
get
it'll
to
get
us.
to you for signature.
Which hasn't changed. If you have an appraisal, it's accepted. If you've got a recent sale, it's accepted. The only thing we're talking about here is looking at comparables, some comparables from somebody.
Does anybody have any proposed language changes to this letter? I haven't heard any proposals on
I think
changes.
sounds good. I thought
I
he
like-
covered
I
all the
like-
bases.
I read it and I like it.
That item about a recent sale, is that in here? Because I'm not,
Yeah, it is, Mark.
It is. It's for
It's
the last
C.
year, same period as the,
oh yeah, recent sale, 12B. Is the proof of a recent sale.
Yeah.
Generally within the last year.
yeah. So if we get one within the last, 1 year, same thing, I'm gonna take it.
You'll take
So if they purchase that property within a year, they can get it for that.
at arm's length
Arm's
transaction.
length. There you go.
You have that in there,
There's the
you have
key.
that as arm length in there, I didn't remember that,
Which one?
that part right there. Do you have?
Yeah, it
the-
does say that in there.
You got the wording in there for that.
Yeah. It's in there. It's somewhere it's in there.
I don't
have to go
see
back
it
and read
right
Not-
there,
It's not in this sentence. Proof
not
of
in-
recent sale of subject property, not land only, generally within the last year, period.
So as long as you got it in here somewhere, then
It
if
is.
not, you can look.
We had several of them come in that they bought from a cousin or a brother, and they want
Yeah.
the same option.
Okay, anything else I think he's asking, is there anything specific that you would like to see changed?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Just a minute,
Kelly has a question.
Kelly had.
Go ahead.
Hello?
I didn't, well, I don't look that
12C,
direction very often.
are you absolutely in agreement with documents presented at the hearing will not be considered?
They must be, I'm writing that they must be presented when they file the protest. Because here's what happened, and we saw this. way too many
I've been
times.
through many years of them.
Yeah,
I want to
that-
know, are you really going to say that to a property owner?
I see.
Because the problem is that
You don't have time to
that
compare.
we don't have any supporting documentation that come in with 12 comparables and a big cardboard box with 27 pictures on it, and it would take a half an hour.
Well, I know you guys start punching them in, and, is what we've done some in the past, and you're asking them to not put us in that position.
That's right, because quite honestly, we don't have time to do an adequate review in the 10, 15 minutes allowed that we're giving everybody to do a comparison review on multiple properties.
If we
It's
don't-
asking way too much. It's gonna be a very bad job.
You're welcome to, I mean, you will do it if they give it to you in advance.
That's right.
Is
We'll
what you're
look at every
saying.
one of them. But I think people need to be told up front that if you need to provide your documentation up front, give us time to review it, determine if the comparables in their neighborhood, if they are, same, are they arm's length transactions, that type of thing.
Well, I understand what Kelly's question is, because I understand that, when they get here, if they haven't done that and they bring 5 comparables with them, then it's difficult for us to say, well, you've got that, but we're not looking at it. See you later. That's a little tough to do. And we technically could, and you could tell us, well, you guys can look at it if you want, but we don't have time to put all that in over here.
I mean, there's just not time to do it.
And there's
Not to do it
really not
adequately.
time for us to do it
That's
either.
right. And there's nothing against state statute by doing exactly what I put in here as far as provide your documentation up front.
So get their documentation.
Yeah, we want it.
Documentation to us.
We want it, but give it to us, we have time
Right,
to look
and we
at it.
want to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You have something else?
Okay,
Tom?
Charlie.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the commissioner letter with regard to property
We'll still
protest
take it.
filings.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second, but we do have a comment. Come on up.
My name's Robin Kinney, Kinney. My question is, it's not real clear from the discussion you've been having, when this letter will be presented to homeowners.
Okay, then that's what I asked. And the answer is the easy answer is if they file downstairs at the clerk's office, which is the way I think we get most of them, then they will get it the day they file.
So you're going to put into the letter that the only documentation you will accept is A, B, C, and D, and you have to have documentation of A, B, C, and D submitted with your protest on the day you get the letter.
Letters
No.
also
No.
posted online. Letters available from the clerk or from the assessor at any time.
And you don't have to present it the day you file, because you're not even gonna know about it. Would that be true, Robert? I mean, they can bring it back into you later.
Yeah, as long as we have it
Because-
before.
Right.
As long as we have it before.
Right.
That's the main thing.
Because, yeah, you're not even gonna know about it until you get the letter.
Okay, so you get the letter, you file it, say, I'm gonna protest or whatever, and now you're saying that comp values won't be given weight, or they will be given weight?
They will if you bring them in before the day of your protest.
Okay, and then my next question is, what about neighborhoods where the sales are not consistent? Like my neighborhood, when we did our refi, there hadn't been any recent property sales in almost 15 years to
You
do a
can
comp.
provide any written information you would like to the assessor in this same time period.
So if I'm bringing in comp values to the assessor, they'll be given the same weight. I don't necessarily have to spend $700 on an appraisal.
No.
You don't have to.
Okay, so they'll be given the same weight as an appraisal?
No, no, they won't.
No, they won't.
A comparable's not the same as a certified appraisal. A certified appraisal, he will accept
Okay,
with no other questions asked. Okay,
That'll be
he'll
your new
accept it.
basis.
If it's less than a year old,
So if somebody doesn't have a certified appraisal, they only have comp values, they're not gonna have the same weight as an appraisal of their
You're gonna-
neighbor's property.
you're gonna have,
1 year break if we vote, if we change it.
it's primarily comparable values that will help you out.
The only two-
And or a real estate person's market analysis might help you as well.
The only two for sures
Mhm.
would be the recent sale within a year and an appraisal. The rest of them are all subjective as far as this board is concerned.
So in neighborhoods where there isn't a big turnover in sales,
It would be used in our decision
okay,
to look at your comps, whatever comps that you provided. If
Okay.
you haven't had any sales, if there's no sales and yours went sky high and everybody else remained the same, then you're not being treated equally. And that's what we're gonna look at.
okay, that answers my question, thank you.
All right. All right, any others? All right. No other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Hang on. I'm ready.
Okay,
You have 4 yeses and 1 no, the Naveen Meyer.
the motion's carried. Okay, I believe that concludes the Board of Equalization items. Need a motion to go out of Board of
I'll
Equalization.
make a motion, come out of the Board of Equalization.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Uh-oh.
Broke it?
1 minute, please.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, 5 yeses.
Motion's carried. We're out of the Board of Equalization. We'll go to the general agenda items. Tom, you've been patiently waiting to discuss and consider action of resolution for Monument Marathon. Tom Holyoke, attorney at law.
Speaking of a marathon, we're having one.
He had a marathon earlier.
You have before you the resolution for the 14th annual Flat Valley Company's Monument Marathon. That'll be held September 27th of this year. And the resolution is for the county to accept responsibility for Highway 71 from the Wallachi Hills Nature Center down to the Sandberg Corner from 6:45 in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. And then Old Highway 92 from 7:15 until 1 p.m. This is what we've done each year, and the marathon group certainly appreciates the county's cooperation in doing that. So what it does is transfer the responsibility for the roads for that period of time from the Department of Roads to Scotts Bluff County.
Which is what we've done every time, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tom, you had a certificate of insurance for liability on the bicycle.
Yes.
So
And
that
Kelly
takes care,
has
of-
that.
that covers all
He
that.
has.
Yes.
Yeah,
So yeah, you
that's all good.
are providing insurance for that,
Yes,
at
sir.
these limits.
It's in the packet.
Right, we got it in our packet. Any questions?
I would move for approval.
Or a second?
I'll second it.
We'll have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Motion's carried. Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate the county's support and certainly appreciate all the support we get from the county sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we don't want to hear this, do we? We're gonna hear it anyway?
So next item is discuss and consider action on a request for proposal for a boiler in the courthouse, and that's the old courthouse building. Jay, facilities manager.
That's correct. And the boiler in the courthouses began to leak. Last year, we had to have a local contractor build us a new manifold for it. The thing was installed in 1967. And right after they took the coal boilers out and put in natural gas. So we're just asking for a request for proposal to go out and get bids on it.
Why don't you put in some split units? Just kidding, Jay.
And I did have, just a budgetary bid done by Train. They came and looked at it, and it was estimated at $350,000.
You're gonna try to work it into next year's budget, or do you have some money carrying
Next
over?
year.
Do you have any money coming, carried over at all?
No. It'll work into next year.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we, go out for bids on a boiler for the jail, or for the old courthouse. Pardon?
For an
RFP.
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? I have a question for you. So, is there, I mean, I know that system is already set up and it is what it is, but not to the extent of having, the units that Ken was talking about, but what my question would be is there any way to split it up to where the units are small enough where they could be worked on from a local contractor?
They can be worked on from a local contractor. Worked on, but not installed. Probably have a local contractor install.
Work on. Do we
Also
have a-
bid it as well, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
I see.
Snell Services is big enough, they would probably do, something
Bid
like
on
that,
it.
and
Okay.
maybe there might be others, I don't know. But this just to go out, I just asked for Train because it was easy for them, just to give me a ballpark number.
Figure.
And then we'll go out for bids. Since we're over 50,000, we have to go out for bids, and it'll be published locally, and I'll send out information to all the local contractors as well. So,
You'll anticipate then a local bids to do
Yeah,
that?
yes.
And hopefully then be able to have local people that be able to work on it.
that's correct. I've already contacted Snell Services to come take a look at it.
Good.
Jay,
And
did
the-
we have a problem? Help me out here on getting enough bids or getting decent bids the last time we did something like this on those boilers?
Since I've been here, we've never done anything on a boiler other than at the jail. We replaced the water heaters.
Maybe it was an AC unit or something, 'cause I know that you were frustrated because we weren't getting bids.
We didn't get any bids on, other than Train on the controls, but that was it.
Is that what it was? I can't remember.
Was there an old boiler in the old jail? It seemed like I took one out of there several years ago.
There used to be.
Yeah, I removed that old boiler there. Now, is this a steam or hot water boiler?
Hot water.
Oh, that's good.
The, so I think probably what, prompted me to ask the question is our issue we're having right now with air conditioning here.
They're total
is-
separate independent unit
No,
systems.
I understand, but it's big enough where we're having to use Train out of Fort Collins. And, we don't have local
They've been
people.
they've been the ones that's worked on it and installed it, and we've had
I
a
know.
service contract with them since the day it was installed.
I know. And the only problem is that then when we need service, it seems like it takes longer than what it should, is my,
This
I don't know that it is, but
The air conditioner on this deal has taken a while because the parts are not available anywhere in the country, so they got here today, so.
seems like that's gonna be a different situation, and if we have local people that can be part of the bidding process, I'll really like that.
We pretty much take care of that in-house, the way it is now. It's just, it's leaking now, there's nothing we can do about it. When cast iron starts leaking, there's not a lot you can do.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses.
Motion's carried. Thanks, Jay. All right, the next item was the item from the sheriff that's been removed. Going to the next item, which is receive tax increment financing redevelopment project progress report from the city of Gearing.
And this is, I like you to vote on it because they have to present it every year. Just so that it's in our record that
That we received
you
it.
received it.
You mean here?
Acknowledge that you
Receive
received
it.
it like you
Just
do your
acknowledge that we
consent
received it.
agenda and stuff, yeah.
And and so that's on the back of this page.
The
Fairly
report.
short. For the city of Gearing, it's fairly short.
I would move that we receive the TIF program, for the city of Gearing.
The progress report, right?
That progress report. Right.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses?
All right. We'll go on to the next item, which is receive tax increment financing redevelopment project progress report from the city of Scotts Bluff.
Would also move to receive the tax increment financing redevelopment progress report, city of Scottsville.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And all the information's on the back of our sheet. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Motion's carried. All right, we'll go to the next item, old business, time clock plus and payroll processes. Lisa?
I'm working with Charlotte now, I'm Kelly's payroll clerk, and she's basically taking this from me, the whole integration piece. And I know she's reached out to contacts to work with her, and she got a couple days into it, and she's been out on a family emergency for the last several days. So we are there, but I wanted to, if you are interested, I know I had given you or had the detention center provide the accrual information of where there's sick vacation for any individual person. I have like all the people that are on time clock right now. I can give you another list from the courthouse and the admin building if you wanted to review. What I don't have is roads and sheriff and comm center on here, but I have everybody else, which is like 5 pages worth of accruals that comes straight from the time clock. So you know that we are actively using time clock.
And it's time clock plus, is that
Time
the
clock
same
plus.
thing?
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, it's all right. No,
TCP.
I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yes.
Okay.
One thing I think would be helpful is to see the employees, I don't need to see names, I guess, well, maybe it would be helpful to see names, but not just what they've accrued, but what they're using. Because I think the concern is that elected officials don't require their employees to burn PTO not at the office. So rather than accruals, would like to see time used.
Oh, you want to see the actual time? We can give you a sampling of timesheets or something. Is that what you want to see? Yeah, I mean, we print reports of time for payroll, and then you can review how they comprise their 40 hours. Is that what you're saying? If it's
I don't know that, no, that's more of a report that says, you know, here's the accruals that have happened this year, here's the PTO that's been taken this year, here's the sick time that's been taken this year. Because the concern is that employees are not required to use sick time or paid time off when they're not in the office. That is the concern.
wow.
Do you do it, Kelly?
Require them to use their sick.
If your employees are gone, are they using sick leave or paid time off?
Yes.
Or are they just going for free?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, in order to comprise a 40-hour work week, we have to have the time clock in, clock out. And if you're gone for a day, it shows a day of vacation or a day of sick time, whatever the person's using.
Or if they have a doctor's appointment,
There's a
couple
sick-
hours it might have taken to get
some
to work.
sick hours. I guess that's how I have to understand how you'd want to see that. I mean, we can print up.
Can you, where we see the accruals, can you print a report from that because it has accrued and the forecast and actual used?
I guess there would be.
Is that,
I mean, I
is there
have
a report
balance of their
available?
accruals.
It might be what he's looking for.
I guess
You
that-
might have it already.
Okay. I just have to get it in my head what you want to see.
Do we now have individuals other than the elected or appointed that are taking time and not being charged for it in any department? Is that an issue?
That's what we're going to
That's what we're trying
police.
to find out.
If they're taking time but not using.
Either
their
vacation or
Oh,
whatever.
I can tell you last night I was working on my budget work papers and sending stuff, and of the 5 or 6 people I emailed, they all responded on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Does that count for that you think they're working enough? Is that what you're looking for?
I just want to know whether anybody's abusing it.
Okay, I guess we need some,
I'm not aware of any, I'm just saying that.
what the balance was as of January 1 and what the balance was as of April 20, something like that. That's what you want to see, what their vacation and sick accruals are. I guess I have to let you look in my system, and you can look person by person and see it too. Is that how we would prove this?
Well, yeah, I can tell you more about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm not aware that it's going on, but then, we can never assume, right? Until, if I have an allegation, we can look into it, but at this point, I'm assuming the managers are handling it.
Okay. Anything else on the report?
Not unless you have questions for me.
All right, so Charlie, you can get with Lisa sometime and talk about it.
Sure.
Okay, so I believe that concludes the old business portion. The next one is public comments. Board of Commissioners will receive public comments on items discussed at this meeting or suggestions for items of discussion at future board meetings. The board will not take action on comments presented this date. So we are to the public comment section. Is there anyone here that would like to comment? Kim, are you coming?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Kim Bowman. I live at 1755 19th Street in Gearing. And I'm going to read, I'll just read what, so I don't go off the rails like I usually do. I'm going to read an unsolicited text. This is to the commissioners.
All right, and let me just, again, suggest to you that I won't let this become part of the big recall process.
This is
Now, so that's not what we're here for. Now, if you got a comment about the commissioners in general, you can talk to us.
So you're saying
Right.
I can't present this as public record?
You can't take this meeting and make it into a recall effort.
Okay, I'm going to change this. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hand this out, public record. You gentlemen.
Well, you can hand it to us and we
yes,
can,
you do what you may with it.
okay? And if you need to present it, you can do it, but
No, I'm not gonna
someplace
mess with
else,
you
but
guys.
not here.
I'm not going to mess with you guys.
Yeah, okay.
You got the short stick.
I'm always on the short end, Kim. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else here for the public comment section? All right, I don't see anyone else. So we'll close the public comment section. We'll go to reports from board and staff. Is there any staff back that direction? Sheriff or anybody back there? All right.
Does anybody want to speak back here? I thought Gene said it back there.
Oh,
Yeah, Gene Bauer's back there.
Gene back there.
okay. They don't want to speak?
Tammy is part of her staff.
Yeah. Yep.
Tammy Fry, FRYE. So I clock in and out. I'm salaried, but I do clock in and out.
Mm.
And on average, I work 20, 30, 40 hours over a pay period. Which is salaried, that's what it's expected, correct?
That's a
So-
good question. What's
Last
expected?
Friday, I was sick. And I have not put in my time yet because I have so much over. So do I need to take a day of sick leave or does that count towards the extra time I've already put in?
I believe that was the discussion we were having 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, saying that, that issue needs to be ironed out, particularly for salaried employees. Because there's different expectations of different people, sometimes depending on who their liaison is. And, we need to clarify that in the personnel manual, in my opinion. Because there's several people that is kind of, I'll use the term, all over the place with their own personal thoughts. And somehow I'd like to get it to where, what is the Scotts Bluff County thoughts? That's what I'd like to get, so that we can all be on the same page when we talk about this issue
So what's my direction from the
for
board
next week.
for taking last
Well,
Friday off?
I'm not sure that that's something that the board, do you have a liaison person?
Yeah, Dave.
She has Dave as her boss.
I mean, for
Her
myself
elected official.
personally, if I
The-
took the day.
Tammy,
off,
did you
probably-
get paid overtime for the extra work that you did? Okay.
I never.
No?
For hourly people,
She's
we let
salaried.
them flex
Yeah.
the time. I mean, you take
Right.
a day of sick leave, but they pick up a shift.
So those questions normally don't come to us. They
Well, I was
come to
just
your
asking.
boss and they come to possibly Lisa. And that's where they're dealt with right now.
Okay, and I was just asking for clarification because Charlie
Right.
wants that in stone. So,
I agree that we need to address it, especially the salaried people. And I've had some of the people that I'm a liaison over that has contacted me in the last week or two. And I'm not particularly trying to make a decision on each individual position.
right,
What I'd like to do is get it established for the entire county so that we as liaisons can help apply that same rule, so to speak, to everybody.
Would that be
Well, I
something
know-
that Personnel board.
Right, a personnel board issue. And if I'm not mistaken, is that something that you and Jason talked about or have talked about or not? It was a different issue, I think.
No,
I know I do payroll for my office and county attorney's office. So I understand there are people want to cheat the time clock. It's a struggle. I understand that there are people that are all over the board. But then there is also people like myself that is working long hours. I don't ask for overtime. I don't ask for compensation or anything else because I feel like that's part of my job and that's just me. I'm gonna work until the job is done.
it's dedication.
So.
It's dedication.
So I think, Lisa can help you clarify part of that in
I
her
think
office.
she knows we can get that clarified, but she's making.
Right. I think you're making a point for the commissioners, and we know we need to address it.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, thanks.
I think it should, I mean, pretty standard, a salaried person working 50, 60 hours a week is not uncommon. I don't think we should stop at 40 hours for a salaried person. But if someone needs to flex time, you know, especially someone who puts in that kind of time, that makes sense.
It very well could, and again, my goal is that we all treat it the same.
Yeah.
And have some kind of guide to go by, because I don't think that's happening now. Oh, I agree, there's different opinions, and I think that's why at some point in time, certain opinions need to be presented. We take a vote, and whatever the majority is, I'm willing to accept. And if I'm on the low end of, or not, the low
Low end of the
receiving
food
end of
chain.
things, I'm okay with that. But we just needed to declare it so that these people have some direction. And then, again, if it really is part of the personnel board,
What's that?
we don't have the authority to change it anyway. So, in my opinion. Okay. Okay, so we were headed this direction back there. Any other employees back there in the back? All right, we're headed this direction. I don't want to forget you. Sharon. All right. Miss Kelly,
Nothing.
I guess Lisa or Jason, we didn't really ask you guys if you have something to address.
Kelly went to budget meeting with me the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were in Ogallala, learning
Right.
about filing the budget for the year. A lot of information.
Not a NACO meeting?
Yes, it was a NACO meeting in Ogallala.
And I don't shut up, do I?
Well, neither did I. We sat in the front row and we asked all the questions.
Good.
But no, it was.
That was some
It'll
good
be
stuff.
an interesting to see how this all flows out. It's not rocket science. Nothing. There's a little bit of change, but not a ton. We'll be all right. Pink postcards is still a thing. Yeah, that isn't going away.
And our hearings need to be the September joint public hearings for Scotts Bluff County for the state,
Probably be September
between
23rd.
September 14th and 23rd, according to statute, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because the 14th is a Sunday. So the 15th,
Through the 23rd, or it was a drop.
Through the
dead that we
23rd.
We can go no later than the 23rd. So that's what I.
starting at
we'll
6:05, if it's that day, yes. And John recommends that we go later in the time frame to make sure that
Postcards
property
are
owners
easy.
get their postcards.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was addressed that some people own lots of properties and get a stack of postcards. They don't have a quick answer for that. That's kind of how it is right now until they can figure out how to do one mailing. Anyway, it was a good meeting. That, and I'm meeting with my insurance committee later this week to talk over some opportunities that we may have. See if my insurance committee is excited with the person I'm talking to as I am, so. The opportunities being presented.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, we're gonna have another personnel board meeting June 5th. Gotta get that advertised and get the agenda out this week.
And
Jason?
don't forget the holiday for advertising.
Thank you. Yes. All right.
Okay. Jason, anything? Okay. Russ, you want to go next?
We got a meeting, I have a meeting tomorrow. I'm gonna be in Omaha tomorrow.
Microphone, please.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Sorry about that.
Can you guys hear him?
Barely.
Nobody can hear you.
Nobody can hear me. Lovely microphone. Okay, I don't really have anything. I got all my stuff's coming up. We haven't done anything with the county road and bridge. Nothing's really changed, so don't really have a lot going on there.
Did they pick a new airport committee member?
I didn't,
Microphone, Lisa.
The airport authority had an opening and they were
I didn't go to that
interviewing
Oh.
last week.
that was a meeting I didn't get to go to, that I did get invited to, so.
You didn't get invited? I was just
I
wondering if they
remember
picked someone.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one, so I can't vote anyway, so
You
they
can
didn't send
report
me an
back.
invite, so. That's it.
I attended the NACO budget workshop in Ogallala last Thursday. It was really a good training. Tomorrow morning, this morning, I met with the Region 22 Emergency Management Advisory Board. Then tomorrow, I meet with Regional West Medical Center Emergency Services. And then tomorrow night, I have an extension board meeting out at Panhandle Station.
I would just say that, have a tourism meeting coming up this Wednesday at 1 or 1:15, I think it is. I had a meeting last week for Panhandle Public Health District. We had regional governance before the last meeting that, Lisa helps put on and the county hosted this time. I will mention, I mentioned the last time that, with Panhandle Public Health, we had Mrs. Wiebe has been our representative from Scotts Bluff County, the community spirited health person. And she has chose not to run again. And so I mentioned to the commissioners the last time we met that Marie Parker had been a person that was the community-minded person that she was filling in for in Banner County. And she now lives in Scotts Bluff County and has for a while, but her name was offered. Ken asked if we should open that up for anyone to apply. Jessica Davies, which is the new administrator of Panhandle Public Health, said their bylaws do not require that, but if that's the way we wanted to approach it, that would be fine. So I just throw that out at you. You might just let me know what your thoughts are. I think Ken was saying
Well, I think
he thought we should.
we ask any other group to advertise it.
Right. So if that's the case, I'll have to either have Kelly help me do that or somebody help me get it put in the paper to advertise for anyone that wants to be considered. All
Well,
right.
if they're asking us to approve it, that's
Right. They are. Okay. That's all I have. Go ahead, Ken.
I had all my meetings last week. Most of them actually were all reviewing the CEOs of the different organizations. All were pretty time consuming. And the one thing in Region 1 is considering a youth crisis center in Kimball, the old hospital. City of Kimball is working with them. When they get all their stuff put together, I'd ask that they'd go around to the different boards of commissioners and explain the funding for that sort of thing. It's still kind of all up in the air. But it's something that they've been talking about for quite some time. And it looks like it may happen. But they don't have all of their T's crossed and I's dotted. They've got some grants and some other things that they need to work with. But when they get that funding all put together, hopefully they'll go around and explain it to everybody how it's going to happen. So that was a busy day. I started at 9 and got home right at 5 o'clock. All day.
All right. Is that it?
Yep.
All right, Charlie.
I just wanted to address a couple misconceptions I had read on social media over the week. Nameplate capacity tax in Nebraska, $3,518. The proposed solar farm in Scotts Bluff County would not raise $1.8 million for Scotts Bluff County's general fund. The vast majority of that, almost 70% of that, would go to the Morrill Public School District. Morrill Public Schools is dependent on state aid, and anything they raise locally gets subtracted from state aid. So that would actually be a wash. By the time you look at the fire districts, cemetery districts, and WNCC, the ESU, and the other taxing entities, the tax revenue for Scotts Bluff County from that project would be less than $300,000 a year. Without a road use agreement, without a decommissioning plan, those dollars don't become nearly enough to cover any costs the county would, the taxpayer would absorb. Fortunately, there is a movement in the current legislature to increase the nameplate capacity tax to $5,277 per megawatt, which would in the current, the current nameplate capacity tax was developed in 1996 and not, or sorry, 2003, and has not kept pace with inflation. So we do have a town hall coming up Wednesday night. The Situla solar energy project is one of the requirements we had of them if they were going to apply for a conditional use permit. The first requirement we made of them was that they would have to hold town halls prior to applying for a permit. They're starting their process there, which I'm thankful for. We asked them to keep us apprised of things so that we weren't surprised. It was presented to us. I don't like learning about things on the news. I like to hear about them before they hit the news. So we're thankful that they're doing those town halls. First one is Wednesday at 5:30, I believe, or 6:30, 5:30, 5:30 to 7:30, about a 2-hour deal.
The legacy.
At the Legacy.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. So I believe that concludes the,
Clarification, please.
I'll give you about 2 minutes. We already got past the
No, I understand.
public comments. Go
I
ahead.
understand we're past it, but he said he wanted to clarify something on the record. I'm going to respectfully request that he cite his sources on the record as well. That's all. He
Okay,
can give
thanks.
me numbers for 800 years, but I want to see that if he's going to cite it on the record, I want to see the source on the record as well. And I think that's only fair.
You want to mention where it came from?
Common knowledge. You can look at
State-
the legislature and
statute.
the, how property tax is divided up. It says the nameplate capacity tax will be divided up according to levies. So that's how that's determined. It's then you can research the nameplate capacity tax on the Department of Revenue's website.
That's what I was gonna say, that if I was going to try and confirm what he's saying, I would go to the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue website would be helpful. And then if you need more, you can call their office. So that's what I would do.
Okay, so then just back again, he's stating on the record, these are facts, and you're telling me to go check my facts myself.
Right.
Yeah. So
They're
is it
saying
on
that's
the
where he got-
record that this is a fact? Or are you just saying, this is my response? It's not exactly fact? I mean, just because I asked, because a couple meetings ago, he threw out numbers from Farm and Ranch Museum, and I did check those numbers and they weren't right. So that's why I want on the record where his sources are coming from and what those facts are.
Well, I would only tell you from my own research that I do on the Department of Revenue's information. Number one, every single time I make any calculations, I have to make some assumptions about values, how many exact megawatts they're going to produce, and some things like that. And so that information, I suppose, could be established to tell you where those numbers are coming from. But I think what I'm understanding are those estimated amounts based on numbers that we had previously.
It is certainly a fact that the solar project presented last year, 400 megawatts, was not going to produce $1.8 million of tax revenue to the county's general fund.
If Charlie wants to get you more factual information, he can.
We'll talk to the Prestons about that and see if they have
There you go. That'd be good. Okay. All right. So we're done with the board and staff reports. We're done with legislation unless someone else has something. Charlie's normally our source for that. All right, so we're down to the last item, which is executive session for the purpose of a personnel matter. Mr. Ocean had brought an item to us, and based on his information, he suggested an executive session for a personnel matter. Therefore, I move pursuant to section 84-1410 of the reissue of the revised statutes known as the Nebraska Public Meetings Law, that the board hold a closed session with Jason Ocean and the board for the purpose of discussion of a personnel matter for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual, and such individual has not requested a public meeting. I further move that this closed session is authorized by the Nebraska Public Meetings Law. That's my motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses.
Motion's carried. Let the record show that we went into executive session at 7:27. And we'll go into the other room, and then we'll reconvene when we're finished here.